How you all doing, guys? So we got Millennium. How you doing? Skyfly Barai. How you doing? Dan W. How you doing? I Spy NASA Lies. How you doing? Right. So yeah, I just want to get through some of it first because I was basically posted this thing out on Instagram. It was actually a long distance observation that someone did with a camera, I believe, and oh yeah, how you doing, Neil? But yeah, so yeah, basically, I posted this thing out, and it was, I think at the furthest point, it was something like 193 kilometers, and it's, obviously with the curvature maths, it wouldn't be possible. It would be swallowed up by the curvature, and somebody commented on it, saying something about it was up on a hill, and it would be possible even on a globe. And I'm like, yeah, I know it was on a hill, but obviously the distance it was so far, it was pretty much swallowed most of it up. It should have, there should have been the peaks should have been visible, top of them maybe, but not as far down as what you're able to see. So I said, because he was saying I'm making flat earthers look stupid. I'm like, what? There was some flat earther that commented on it, and he was saying I was making it look stupid. I'm like, what? And I knew that, obviously there is height, and so I said it was no more than 500 meters. Well, I heard someone saying it could have been 400. Someone said it was 500. So I thought, it's probably no more than 500. So that's what I put. So the person who replied it and said, that the person lives in Spain and knows, saying that it was more than 500 meters where it was took, and and saying, where am I getting this information from or whatever. And I'm like, but I did actually go and find out, and apparently it was because I weren't exactly sure where it was took from, but apparently it's took from a place called Tibidabo, which isn't too far from where I thought it was took, because I knew it was on a hill somewhere. Apparently at the highest it's about 512 meters, so there's not really much point trying to argue with 12 meters. I mean, seriously. But obviously that person probably didn't actually go check out the exact height, and even if I'd say it was at 600 meters, and I really doubt there's anywhere in Barcelona that's more than 600 meters high, because Tibidabo is actually pretty much the highest place in Barcelona. So a big hill in Barcelona. So say it was even at 600 meters. I think it was something like the nearest peak, which was actually 184 kilometers, should actually be hidden by about 731 meters of curve, but the highest is about 838 now. You can make your own judgment, but I think there's more than 107 meters of it visible. If you go on, you can actually type in, you can actually go on beyond horizons and actually look at some of the images on there, and actually you'll keep you busy for a while if you want to go and check out some of those long distance observations. But I mean, I'm kind of grateful for him, challenging it and stuff, and kind of, because, well, obviously I'm there. I don't know exactly how high it is. I'm just kind of going off what I've heard. But like I said, even kind of being letting somebody have like a higher altitude, it would still block off most of it. And I think because some of the peaks are about 1,314 meter, about 1,400 meters, 1,400 meters. One of them is, I think, 1,445 meters. But still, because that one was actually a bit further, probably about 189, I think it were. And it should have been, most of it should have been below the curve. But I suppose those ones are kind of, more arguable for the globe side, I suppose. But there was one at 193 kilometers, which supposedly should have been about like probably almost 1,000 meters. Even if you was to be kind of generous with the globe side, say it was 900 meters, and the highest it would be I think 1,093. So still less than 200 meters of it should have been visible, but you could see quite a bit of it visible. So yeah, I mean, I get what it's saying. Maybe it kind of isn't that great of an argument, but it should make some people think, though, at least. But there are a lot that are kind of somewhat debatable, and I can understand why people may think I'm making flat earthers look stupid. But in reality, though, if you really look into it, it does actually suggest a flat earth. It's just, I think we just went, oh, look, well, put in on the calculator, and yeah, it should be visible, but how much of it should be visible? That's the question. It's not about whether it should be visible, but how much of it should be visible, and how much is visible, So that way you can find out whether it proves a flat earth or a globe earth. Yeah, anyway, so you got Chris Trueseeker. Are you going along to Blackpool, mate? Well, I've been told about this quite a few times, and I am hoping to go, but it's just because someone was saying that it was going to be in July sometime. So I mean, if anyone can give me a definite date that it's going to be like 100%, then yeah, should be able to make it. Spy NASA lies. Right. Peanuts Clark, how you doing? Peanuts Clark, I feel like flat Earth is dividing into sections. It's bad. Well, I mean, there could well be people that are, trying to divide it into groups, religious groups, different maps and models. Yeah, just it's not good. Any of this kind of division crap. It's really not. And people need to kind of be aware of it. All this, don't get sucked into it because, I mean, doesn't mean that the infiltrators are obviously going to keep doing it, but we just got to be aware, and then we can try and we won't prevent it, but it will kind of control it. But yeah, this guy who kind of challenged. I mean, it was just a meme. I mean, it's just from the information that I gathered, and like I said, it splitting hairs. It's really not kind of it wouldn't really make that. I mean, 12 meters of height, whatever. Because I actually went and actually checked exactly what height it were. What's interesting is I went on Beyond Horizons, and I actually found some because it showed some other pictures that were took from different altitudes, and some of them were somewhat lower down. So yeah, I mean, so that would probably mean that even the top of the highest peak would probably be swallowed by a curve. So yeah, but this guy who kind of challenged me, it's like, let's have a look, see what stuff he's posted, because what kind of proofs is he posting? Let's have a look, shall we? I mean, the dome model, whatever. Some suppose decent proofs on it, but this whole thing of clouds behind the sun thing. I mean, I don't think that's really. I'm not sure if that's an actual proof of anything. I think it's just probably it kind of looks like that maybe because the sun's so bright. And I don't really take those kind of arguments too seriously because, well, if you trust the high altitude balloon footage, well, it kind of shows that the sun is still a little bit higher up than even that is. It's got to be at least 30 miles up or more. That's what it would seem like anyway. But I don't even think it's 3,000 miles, to be honest. But so I'd kind of be somewhere in between. I don't think it's in front of the clouds, whatever. But at the same time, I also don't think it's 3,000 miles up. Because if it were 3,000 miles up, you'd probably, you probably wouldn't be able to see it, at the other side of the Earth. I think there's actual kind of, it's probably more like I don't know, it might be more like a sort of, could be projected in whatever, and everybody could have their own localized projection. It would make a lot of sense because I don't think it's necessarily circling around exactly. Peanuts Clark, Jamie, I see and understand why you kind of stayed to yourself in FE. What are you talking about? Yeah, I mean, so it seems like this guy doesn't really like putting out these long distance observations because he thinks that they don't prove anything. Well, some of them certainly do. And like I said, if you actually do full research, then you'd find that does actually prove a flat Earth because you shouldn't be able to see all of what you're able to see if we are on a globe, even being generous with the height. So yeah, and like I said, found that you could actually, it was interesting, it says you could actually see Puig Major from 175 meters. Well, let's have a look at, because I can put that in on the curve calculator. So let's go and have a look, because I mean, I'm not using Metabun because that's just ridiculous. But you know what? Should I actually go for it? Whatever, because just for the Globers. So we'll be a little bit generous, shall we? So I'm just going to find out the. So basically, I'm going to go on the Proflies distance calculator, which is something I recommend if you want to find out the closest distance between 2 points. The straight line distance. So Barcelona will be where it's from. Don't know exactly where, but it's probably slightly up on a hill somewhere, so it could be a little bit further in distance. But I'm being a bit generous here. So Barcelona to Puig Major. So if I'm pronouncing this wrong, but that's just how I see it. So it's a distance of 114 miles. So 114 miles. Let's put that into the Metabunk calculator. So a height of 175 meters. Actually, let's 114 miles. What's that in kilometers? Hang on. It comes out 183.465. So we'll say 183. Okay. Again, I'm knocking bits off here. So 183 kilometers and observer height 175 meters. So we can have a look at hidden 1.45 kilometers. So that's without any refraction. And with refraction 1.17 kilometers. So that's about 1,170 meters. So let's find out the height of 1,445 meters. So about I don't know 1,000. I mean about less than 300 meters should be visible. But of course, that's with the Metabunk calculator. And let's just have a look at the picture again, see what we can see. Obviously, it's going to be hard to tell exactly what we're seeing, but I reckon more than I'd say a good 600-700 meters maybe visible, if not more. I don't know exactly, but obviously that's being generous. I've obviously used the globe flat Earth debunk calculator. So yeah. Marcel Molinars, how you doing? So yeah, basically someone was asking on Instagram to come join me, I think. So hopefully, because I think he asked for a link, I think. So I'm going to do. I'm gonna go and send him a link, I think. So because I think he said to direct message him. So just bear with me a minute. Of course, anyone else who wants to come on, you just as usual, just ask me, and then I can, of course, give me an address if I don't know your address. So okay, so I'm just going to be sending the guy a message to sending him a link. I mean, to come on, see if he wants to come on. So I'll be with you guys in a minute. Oh crap! I don't think I can let him on because no, it's not kind of pasting it in. I mean, well, it doesn't look like I can let him in right now because I can't really paste the link in. Well, it would probably mean sort of typing it all out, which is probably going to be a bit pointless. So yeah, if he's watching, then sorry, can't really. I mean, it'd be good if I could actually get a proper address so I can send it to you. But anyway, so yeah, like I said, I was being a bit generous there with the Metabunk calculator. It's a standard refraction, so is that like the calculator mean like average of refraction, because that's how it would sound like to me, that there's it's an average day whatever for refraction. So I was thinking obviously from certain altitudes you wouldn't have as much of that effect, would you? Because you're looking through less atmosphere, so there's less of a medium for the light to kind of bend through and get distorted. So yeah, I watched a video the other day. It was ex-heliocentric video. It was Colorado. It was one of those line of sight observations where you have like some mountains in the foreground and then you have some in the background, and if you can find some that will line up sort of thing in terms of height, then you can find out if there's the supposed curvature. They found that you would have to be at something like almost 2,000 feet higher just to have been able to see the last peak. So yeah, unless of course there's 1,800 feet of refraction, which we know is just bullshit anyway. But yeah, so I think some people have, going on about this lit pontchartrain thing, saying that they apparently doctors that or whatever used the wrong power lines. Now, even if that's the case, the problem is if you accept that's the curvature of the Earth, then the Earth mustn't be very big. If you're actually seeing them actually curving off in the distance, it proves that the Earth wouldn't be very big at all. So because you'd have these same results, loads of times. You'd see train tracks doing the same thing, over large distances. Because this was apparently only about 18 miles at the most, like distance. So how come you could see it there, but not, see a curve at high altitude balloon footage or like that? I mean, they might be like, oh well, it's because it's the horizon will kind of be the same altitude all the way around, and fair enough, but that's just kind of excuses, because if that's the case, then they have no point, because how come loads of people are saying I can see the curvature of the Earth from an aeroplane? Well, then how come it's not visible from high altitude balloon footage? So it would be telling that there's something else going on, but we really don't know. Alright, so yeah. As I was saying before, if anyone wants to join, then let me know and I can grab you a link. So like I was saying about that guy who wanted to join, obviously I would have rather if he would have actually provided a different address, because I can't really do it on here because it's not like allowing me to like paste the link into it. It kind of sucks, but well, anyway, that's kind of too bad. But so I don't know if any of you guys have seen that picture of the Lake Pontchartrain power lines. But obviously I'm not too sure if it, whether, he did use the wrong, because I've not really kind of looked into that. Of course, the horizon's completely flat. No denying that. This is, that doesn't look too high up, to be honest. Don't know what height this were, because, well, you may be able to find out how far you're supposed to be able to see, and find out if it matches of what you're actually seeing. So yeah, we're all doing all right, and yeah. So yeah, I'll probably just talk about the video I made before about somebody's, because I was responding to this video I was watching earlier, someone else trying to debunk the flat Earth, but pretty miserably, to be honest. It was, pretty bad attempt to debunk it. Who knows if they're being paid by the government to do it, but or just a completely brainwashed person. I mean, how do you explain, the day and night, and then she actually knew that that we believe there's like a local sun, and then goes on about seasons. Well, that's the exact, it's explained the same way. If the sun's a lot closer, it comes in and out, kind of possibly could spiral in and out sort of thing, or it could just, as some believe, it could be like a sort of Pac-Man type thing. And I know some people might not like that term if they believe in that certain kind of model, but I don't attach myself to any model because I don't know what it is. I've never actually mapped it all out. Even if it were possible to map it out, of course you'd have to have lots of people all involved in it, and be pretty, hard to do. Like, I've loads of people, millions of people probably, getting involved, and it would just, and even then, it's like, well, how do you know it's 100% accurate? You don't. So, but it seems like, flat earthers have accepted a particular map, and I haven't. I've just kind of accepted that water's level, and it's, there's no motion. These are, observable facts, and people go about, well, what about the science, well, because that's what a person said who tried debunking flat Earth. She was saying that, some really kind of like logical fallacies saying that, well, that we're just gonna like throw away science. Well, what science is it? What, like pictures from space and ISS and all that. Well, lots of anomalies with that stuff, and also Ali B, whatever, he believes in it, but I think it just seems too ridiculous to me. It just looks way too fishy. There's lots of stuff going on that just doesn't make sense. It seems like they have a harness or whatever, and it's like it does seem like they're probably standing upside down. And yeah, it's just, who knows. There's some local sun, moon, and star field is for sure. Well, yeah, I'd be pretty sure that that there's the sun's a lot closer than what we've been told. I mean, even the 3,000-mile sun. But there's some if it is the AE map, then the sun and moon or stars do not circle it. There is no way is able to see these objects if they are thousands of miles away. I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking, well, hang on a minute. If it's 3,000 miles up, then that means that throughout the day, it's going to go in even more distance away. And we know that a bit of cloud cover blocks out the sun. Well, hang on a minute. Well, if it's going right to the other side of the plane, then how come, it isn't kind of blocked out, by clouds? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So, yeah, I would come to the conclusion that, we don't really know what the sun is. I mean, there's that whole thing with the Jaren and Awake Souls thing about the silhouette, the sunset behind the mountain range, and Jaren said it was 160 miles away, and there was this kind of argument going on about it. But obviously, I didn't take the photograph. But as far as I know, we're 160 miles away. But the sun could be like kind of like it might look like it's behind. I don't know. We don't exactly know what's going on. But I don't think it's thousands of miles across a plane at any given time, because you wouldn't be able to see it. It would be blocked out by all the atmosphere. I was just thinking, what about because imagine we were actually on a globe, right? So if a bit of cloud can block out the sun, then shouldn't it be, as it's setting, it shouldn't be even visible? If a bit of cloud can block it out, then if it's supposed to be, but then again, it's supposed to be right over the curve, I mean, there's like supposed to be curve, and then it's, but you're supposed to be looking through thicker atmosphere obviously we are looking through thicker atmosphere. And maybe it could work the same, I'm not sure, but yeah, I mean, it doesn't make sense that the sun is circling around when you think about it, that it's like 6 or 10,000 miles away at its furthest, probably. That's what they'll claim it to be. It really it would make more sense that it's a localized thing, very much so, not even just like a circling thing, like as Billy would say, right. So it's the 8th of July. I'll probably be going. So cool. So that's just over a month away then. So yeah, sounds cool. It'd be exciting to go to a meetup, actually. So yeah, exciting meeting like flat earthers in real life, because I don't know anyone I've converted into a flat earther. Well, I've talked to people about certain points, and I got some points and stuff, but it'd be cool to actually get out and actually meet people in real life who have the same kind of way of thinking. So I suppose it kind of proves that, because it's like, even say a year or two ago, like no one was getting together that much in the flat earth. You had a few meetups and stuff, but most of them were probably in America and stuff, and now it's getting really close to home. It's kind of proving that big. I know a lot of these people have been around for a long time, but there will probably be some new people as well that might come to it. It'd be exciting to actually go and meet like-minded people and stuff, and get to know a bit more on a personal level, I suppose, and kind of because it's kind of a bit different. It's a bit more impersonal, on these like forums and things. But to actually meet them face to face would probably be a bit kind of better, really. Billy Sunday, the demorable flat Earth, the sun is closer than we've been told. So, I mean, the moon is closer than we've been told. Well, I say we know it's closer than we've been told, but the actual distance we really don't know about. And yeah, circling sun, I'm not too sure about that, really. I don't think it is. I'm not sure about the sun that's just going straight across either. That's altogether. We've got to kind of open ourselves up to different possibilities. Don't get stuck in one because what the Globers will do is attack straw man arguments. So yeah, we've just got to be aware of that, because there are people who will attack different models and what have you, instead of actually focusing on whether there's curvature or not. It just seems like a common tactic that these people use, that they'll just attack the models instead of actually the actual claim that we make, and we'll get lumped in with a model. I think people should really kind of stay away from, like pushing models. Otherwise, it can be a bit suspicious. Ael Naton, how are you doing? Dinell Soccer. Navy ship sub have machine shop on them. The ISS doesn't have any repair modular. How do they fix parts when? Well, yeah, it just seems crazy that, they're up, 250 miles, like, hovering over there, at 17,000 miles an hour. I mean, because imagine if something went wrong, it just kind of, something wrong went and literally went from 17,000 miles an hour to zero. That would be absolutely insane. But yeah, I never knew it went, obviously I didn't even really know about the ISS. I didn't even realize where it really kind of supposed to be going on. I just, thought, they were trying to, I don't know. I've only heard about it really since the whole flat Earth thing. Never really paid too much attention because I was like, well, I'll keep waiting, for them to actually send us up, to some other planets, somewhere like, light years away that they're trying to someday reach, whatever. I suppose they make you think that someday we'll have to go because we'll have to evacuate, because if it goes wrong here, because we're on a, dying planet around a dying sun, some event could happen where we have to evacuate, some meteorite could hit and we have to get out of here and land on some other planet. And that was probably part of the propaganda, really. Billy Sunday, how could somebody see something traveling 17,000 miles an hour? Oh, it's because it's so high up, and it's like, when you see like a plane like going over like 500 miles an hour, it looks like it's going to like zero or whatever, and it's like, but then again, it's like, well, if something's that high up, it's like it's just going to whiz across the sky. I don't even think it should be possible to see whatsoever. I mean, with the naked eye. I mean, they say it's possible to see with the naked eye. I mean, they say, it's because the light, refracting in or something, whatever. And I don't really agree with that for a second. Hi, Angel, how you doing? So, yeah, I mean, 17,000 miles an hour is a lot. I mean, I heard that, supposedly rockets have flown at 25,000 miles an hour, but honestly, I didn't even realize there were anything flying anywhere near, 17,000 miles an hour, up there anywhere. The only thing I thought was flying over there was satellites. Well, they call it space station, but they claim that space isn't until about a few thousand miles out, in the exosphere, whatever they call it, when you actually get out of the atmosphere. So I mean, I suppose you could call it space at that height, but it's definitely outer space. Because in flat Earth we say that there's no space. Well, I think we should say there's no outer space. That's probably a better way of putting it, really. Chris F.E. Jackson, the Armin line at 100 km is considered space. Right. Well, I heard something about 100 kilometers, but I mean, who knows if that's like, maybe that's where the supposed barrier is. I saw all these different layers of atmosphere, and supposedly some of them went on for about a few hundred miles or a few thousand miles, even like up to about 4,000 or 5,000 miles or something. Because, well, if there's things flying at, all these speeds, flying at this sort of distance around the supposed globe, then it has to be flying with an atmosphere around it. Otherwise, there's no way of it kind of being able to, it's like, it's gravitational pull. Well, again, gravity. I mean, well, anyway, I'll be back in just a minute. All right, so I'm back. 988 miles no higher. What is that where the supposed barrier is that people are going on about. I mean, I do believe there is some kind of barrier somewhere because kind of scientifically you'd think, well, there has to be something to, kind of keep the pressure in. That would kind of just be logical thinking that. But as to how far away it is, who knows? So anyway, Mort for Sheen, if gravity is not real, why do I weight less when directly overhead? Well, that can work. Well, basically, we don't exactly know what the sun and moon are. That's a good question. I've heard people talk about the sun and moon and electromagnetism and stuff like that. So I suppose that could be having an effect. But I think that the whole heliocentric model is just, too ridiculous now. Thinking about it, to even consider that as a possible explanation of the moon's gravity, whatever. So, I think that the fact that we can actually walk freely upon the surface of the Earth in any direction, kind of to me seems to defy gravity, because we'd literally have to be pinned down to the ground if the gravity is what's keeping us down to a ball that's doing all these contradicting speeds, then that would have to be the case. It would have to be that we're being pinned down and not able to move anywhere. There'd have to be a really strong force. Otherwise, we would be thrown off it. All right, so what you're saying, it's really confused me. I think it's flat too. So you're kind of playing devil's advocate a bit there, then, are you? But I always thought everything would be one big planet when I learned gravity as a kid. Well, I mean, when we say that gravity doesn't exist, well, we're not saying that there's not something that's kind of causing us to fall. It's just that the explanation for it is kind of never been proven. It's kind of because it's like, well, if you believe in gravity, then it's like, which one? You believe in Newtonian gravity, or you believe in the Einsteinian kind of idea of it, of relativity and all that. Because it's like, well, you can't believe both. It's like you have to, So it's like when we were obviously kids, we never really got taught so much about the details of the heliocentric system, because if we were, then what would probably be initially, you think that's just ridiculous. You think, no, that's not. It's like, if gravity is so strong to keep us down here, then we shouldn't. I mean, just by jumping up, to me, kind of seems to defy it. The idea that two people can be standing at opposite sides of the globe, can jump up. One's jumping up away from. Well, they're both jumping up away from each other. I just that thought. Well, the Earth's supposed to be spinning at the same time, and of course, supposed to be orbiting the sun. Well, if that's the case, then there would probably have to be more gravity at one side than the other in order for. Otherwise, you'd have one side where it's like you're being pulled to it more than the other because of all the if it's like, imagine you're like shooting through space at 67,000 miles, and I mean, not even, it's like that. That's actually those two motions. So we've got the spin of the Earth at 1,000 miles an hour, and then it's supposed to be going around the sun at nearly 67,000 miles an hour. So the 1,000 mile an hour motion is slower than that one. So it's like it's supposed to be spinning, but it's like it's supposed to be shooting at the same time. So depending on which side of it you're on, you should be kind of experiencing. When you're spinning around it, you're spinning towards the back end. Then you should be thrown off it. But why is that not happening? If gravity is such a strong force, then we'd be not able to move anywhere. You wouldn't be able to push yourself against the supposed force if that were the case. But Mark Fashina, why would they make it so ridiculous though if it's fake? Well, the whole system was probably designed to kind of make people think that they're just some random accident. I think that's the whole kind of purpose of it. If they met all these crazy motions, then it's like all these hundreds of that's what they wanted to do, but they had to put gravity in to make it seem kind of a bit more like it makes a bit of sense. Obviously it doesn't, but obviously if they couldn't have made all these motions then like seem kind of possible, then they wouldn't have been able to like come up with their deception. It was. I mean, what I'm saying is they wouldn't have been able to. Actually, they wouldn't have been able to keep control over people if they put us at the center. That's what it is. It's to make us feel like that we're not special, and that we're just a random rock that's spinning at these preposterous speeds. If anyone wants to come on for a bit, then just let me know, and I'll get your link. So yeah, I mean, it's just that knowledge that we're, forget the flat Earth right now, but the fact that we're supposed to be, doing all these speeds. I never knew about any of them. I never knew about all these supposed speeds. If I did, then then again, I might still not have questioned. It's just what they would have probably said, it's gravity. So but when you actually sit down and think about it, it's just, is gravity really possible? It's like, to do that, could it really do that? No one's ever recreated it. It's a scale thing, and it's because, getting in the way of, the Earth's gravity getting in the way or whatever. Well, they have to come up with something convenient all the time to kind of explain away things. Like, why can we not find any curvature? Oh, the Earth's too big. Well, if that's the case, then, then you have no point. It's like, we're asking, but it's like, when you say that, you should prove that claim that it's too big, because then how come somebody's then, finding, supposed curved water on a Lake Pontchartrain? Well, only a small section of it, yet over a much larger distance, there isn't any curvature like in that ex-heliocentric video. Totally well done. I'm probably going to put a link to it in the Hangout. In the chat, rather. So yeah, I'm just going to, bear with me a second. So yeah, this is a video you can go check out afterwards. Yeah, I did check it out. Chris, you have to a link then, Chris. I'll just probably, because I can just go and get your link now if you want to come on for a bit. But sorry if you don't want to come on. I'll just, because I did manage to see it, and it was a good video. Because it did seem to kind of prove that that there isn't the curvature that's supposed to be there. If there is a curve, then the Earth would have to be a lot bigger, because there were no way that you should have been able to see it. You could be like, oh, it's refraction. Well, we're in the proof again. If you're going to claim it's refraction, you have to show proof of that, and especially at certain heights like that, somewhere like Colorado, where on the mountains, where the air is like really clear, then there's not going to be much distortion whatsoever. So that's not good of an argument. It's a pretty ridiculous argument when you think about it. Skyfly Brian, speed of the International Space Station is based on the spin speed of the Earth and the circumference and distance that the station is from Earth. It's not going the same way as the spin now. What about, it's gravity that's not gravity. No, it's the atmosphere that's moving with it, so it propels itself against the atmosphere. I mean, if it's it's like, how would you be able to if it's got this much force, then how is it that you would be able to move like sort of independently of it? If that was the case, like, how would you be able to push yourself, like if you're in a plane or whatever, push it, this flimsy atmosphere that's supposed to be what's keeping us from flying off, whatever. It's only if gravity existed we would not be able to walk or even get out of bed. Just think about it, then picture Brian Cox and have a good laugh afterwards. Yeah, because that is true. There would have to be such a strong force, kind of like you imagine like the magnets. Like magnet, if it's supposed to be this force that's we're being attracted toward the Earth, then it would be impossible to ever push yourself against the supposed force. You'd literally be pinned down. Because the way I imagine it, it's like you'd be literally crushed into the Earth. Like you'd probably become sort of part of the Earth or something. It'd be like you'd literally be glued down. It would, yeah. And how can trees grow out of the Earth at like opposite sides? Again, it's just they actually can't really come up with anything, to be honest. For that. Eagle Empire, what else with it? Creepy profile pic, whatever. Well, I know some people would probably ban you, but unless somebody else does, then I'm not going to bother banning you. But you can say what you want, but not really much need for it, is there? So anyway. It's a joke. Relax. How are the seasons in the flat Earth model? All right. Yeah. So again, if the sun's a lot closer, then it would just kind of be more concentrated on different portions of it. If the sun's what's moving over us, and that's what we experience, we see the sun. We don't feel motion. Of course, they'll say, oh, it's relative, but yeah, it would appear that there's a sun that's kind of it's concentrated on different areas at once, and that's why we get day and night. That's also why we get seasons, because the sun would move to different parts of the plane, whether it's circling around. I'm not sure if I believe that, but it seems like that they're trying to demand proof from us. How does season work on the flat Earth model? Well, Eagle Empire. If the sun's moving around 24 hours a day, how does it get further in December? Well, I just said if it's actually a lot closer, then it gets further away in December because it's moving away. It's moving toward Australia or wherever in December, and then toward, say, the Tropic of during the summer, and that's why we get different seasons. And we should actually do the research into that. Right. So it spins like a spiral. I don't get that geometry equation. What? So I mean, I don't know exactly what it's doing, but if the sun's a lot closer, which we experience. I mean, because we see that crepuscular rays, it would point to a much closer sun, because how can a 93 million mile sun, have rays that would splay out that much? It would indicate that's way, way closer than 93 million miles. Now, some people say, it's perspective. Well, if that were the case, then buildings would do the same thing. They would seem to kind of lean into each other. But we see that the rays aren't parallel, as you would expect if the sun really were 93 million miles away. Eagle Empire, I'm an engineer and I run simulations on SolidWorks software, and that's the biggest issue. All right. Well, the thing with reality is it might not be something that can actually be kind of simulated, because simulation is a simulation. It's not quite got, you might not be taking everything into account and everything, and the big picture, the rays reflect off the atmosphere. Well, it does seem like we get localized sun. How come the sun seems to kind of, I wouldn't say the sun shrinks itself. I mean, it seems to actually get bigger, but I think it's the lensing effects. But the light seems to kind of shrink. Instead of being like the supposed Terminator line, it doesn't seem to exist at any altitude really. So unless there's some explanation for that, which I'm not sure that there is. All right, cool. Like $8,000 is quite a lot. The big picture, I'm a flatty, but the change in layers reflects differently. Well, possibly. It's just because it was a guy called P Brain, and he did an experiment and shown that if the light source is local, it will splay out more than if it's further away. But obviously, there might be other things to take into account. It kind of reflecting off of somewhat until it's been proven. I'm not so sure about that. Water reflection, that's a good point. All right. Well, actually, through the clouds, it's actually kind of water vapor, isn't it? So, because sometimes you see like when you put you put a pen or something, or a straw inside the water or something, and put any kind of stick inside it, and it can sometimes bend a certain way. I'm not sure if it's like the best argument, but if anyone can actually try and either debunk it or prove it, whatever, that'd be good. So I'm not too sure, but I used it as like a proof over there. But I mean, if it does actually get sort of debunked, and it's like, and now just kind of take it away from the list of proofs, because I want to kind of whether flat Earth is kind of refined, and it's kind of, you get rid of all the not so good arguments that don't prove anything. Kind of like this, because the spirit level experiment, I don't really think that's that great. I mean, it's a good idea, but unfortunately, I think it could work on a globe as well. So if anyone has any idea, because I'm thinking of making a video on this, going on about some of the arguments that shouldn't be used anymore, and if anyone has it, because me and Eternal Padawan were talking about this the other night, about how there's some arguments like the sun in the clouds, what the pear-shaped Earth one. These arguments aren't really that great, probably. We should probably stop using them. But there's somebody who said clouds are water. What are they then? I don't know. Thought that it was water vapor, but it's like, it seems to be water in a different form. I don't know, but I'm not sure if it would, because the thing is, honestly, it'd be hard to maybe do it unless someone could actually do an experiment with like artificial clouds, like a scaled down down kind of test and see if it still works the same, and see if you put the sun a lot further away, then see if it kind of still would come in parallel. But yeah, I think someone maybe should do a more advanced experiment. Clouds don't completely block the sun. No, they don't really. But obviously, if we were saying about how me and Billy agree on that if the sun is actually doing circles and it's going, like further, if there's just one kind of projection or whatever, then that would mean that it'd be impossible to see the sun, if it was over in Australia somewhere. So it would kind of point to the sun being a localized phenomena. So yeah, there's lots of stuff to get into with the flat Earth, because it's like there seems to be a lot of points raised about the flat Earth. It's like if the Earth truly were a globe, then there wouldn't be a lot of point to raise about it. I'm not saying that every argument's legit though. Ali B, how you doing? Fog and mist is cloud, which is water. Yeah, but honestly, like I said, if someone could do a test, I'm not sure if it's been done or whatever, but I see more tests are better, because then we can come to a better conclusion. So the clouds do not completely block the light. However, clouds at times completely block the sun. Well, yeah, it's the light, because the light from the sun isn't blocked, but it's the sun that's being blocked. I see, certain times, the sun and the light get blocked, during eclipses, but ambient light and sunlight are two separate things, probably. It does seem like there's different kinds of light, because this is all, learning experience. It's about science. It's about discovering the true nature of our reality. Thought it was a bit annoying, this thing that said, some news that flat Earth, you go type flat Earth in. So if I was to go on Google, type in flat Earth, then I can go to, so I'll go down and it says here, here's a primer to help you educate flat earthers. We don't need educating. If anything, it's the bowlers that need educating, because even if it is a bowl, most of them don't even know the heliocentric model. They don't know the curvature formula and everything like this. We know more about the bowl Earth than they do, so we're not the ones that need educating. We're just finding flaws in what they're saying. And it's like, it was that live noggin video. It was like, wow, he actually said that about the bottom of Chicago skyline or whatever being cut off. Well, how come you could see any of it? You shouldn't be able to see really any of it at all. And then he goes on to say that you should see the Rocky Mountains behind it, whatever. Of course, the Earth is so thick. And of course, perspective, of course, things in the foreground are going to block out things in the background. So you have to link then, are you, Ali B? Because I can get you a link if you want to join. That goes to anyone else who wants to join for a bit and have a chat. Because as you can see in the title, I don't just talk about flat Earth, but the topics can get wider when more people join. So yeah, I'm not sure whether to do non-flat Earth hangouts. I don't know what I'd do though. But what I do in these is I do like different topics. So it's like, all right, Chris, I didn't know you were coming in.
Yeah, ready now. Sorry, I was just tying some stuff up there. What are you doing?
Well, I thought because I sent you the link and then I saw you put some about that you were just hanging around in chat or something.
Yeah, well, I was just sorting out some documents. That's all. Sorting out documents.
What some CIA documents?
Just sending out me invoices. I get paid by the word, right?
Yeah. So you get two. Like. So you get 2 times as much for saying paper and then explanator.
Yeah, I get double pay for either letter. That's it. So now everything I say now is double pay. See, but if I say that name again, it goes back to single, so I can't say it. I can only say it once.
Like that thing. What is it? Stay out the black and in the red. You get nothing in this game for 2 in the bed.
Smash it, lovely. Bendy bullies all round. Well, I've had a nice evening, Jamie. Thank you very much.
Oh yeah. It was funny that it's the other night, wasn't it? It was funny then, wasn't it? So, what do you think about this? These crepuscular rays? Because someone was saying about by reflecting off the atmosphere. I mean, do you think that could be what's going on? Or do you think that it's still impossible that they could be coming down at all these angles if we're on a globe? I mean, not that we're not on a. I mean, as in like if the sun's 93 million miles away.
If the sun was 93 million miles away, all right, and we were getting refraction through the atmosphere, which is can be expected. Yeah, I would expect to see those rays coming through clouds right across the horizon and then bouncing out all over. I wouldn't actually see it necessarily localized.
The light would be even. It would all. You'd literally. Cause I saw this meme where it shows like what it should look like. Literally the whole ocean should look, because the light would. Oh, it's because of the curvature. Well, if that's it can't be because of curvature. It's like
the South China Seas are yellow.
What to do? What is that all piss in them or something?
It's full of Chinese. Never mind.
Yeah, I think I better be respectful because some people might be having their tea or whatever right now.
I didn't mention anything. I didn't say anything about pissing in it.
But I did. Yeah, there'd be a lot of saline in that water.
Have you sent Ali a link, have you?
No, was he asking for a link?
Yeah.
Right, cool. I'll just send him a link then. So what do you think about the ISS then?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Well, I have my suspicions about certain aspects of it. I tried to get into it the other night regarding Skylab.
Yeah.
And if they managed to get Skylab as they had got it with the size of it, I think they would have had it now. But the ISS is so small, from inside the
Well, I saw this video, right, and it seemed like that there was this kind of glitch, not a glitch. I mean, like kind of thing where it, like they hadn't got it right, and it shown like somebody just like disappear, like their arm disappearing or something as they were walking out of it. I was like, what the hell? But maybe they're doing these things on purpose to kind of distract people. Who knows? But it just seems kind of fake to me. It's just, well, there might be something up there, but it's
not that. Yeah, it's something up there, but it's not that what we think it is.
Well, it's not traveling at 17,000 miles an hour. I don't think it, and I think it was someone was saying if it were, we wouldn't be able to see it. I think it might have been Billy and there's what they're saying. If it was actually up there, and it was traveling at 17,000 miles an hour. Well, the thing is, that it would be ridiculous. It really would. And they said that we were able to see it with the naked eye, some of the size of a football pitch. But they say, it's because the light refracts through the atmosphere or whatever.
Yeah, what I have trouble with is they say it's 250 miles up, and they accentuate the curvature of the Earth. So, I mean, why do that? Is it because they don't know what it would look like at 250 miles? It's not.
Well, the thing is, if it was actually going around the curve, right, this would actually be a good curvature test, wouldn't it? Because you'd actually see it tipping. If it's going that far, then it would mean that it's traveling thousands of miles across the sky. So you'd actually see it going over it. If you could actually zoom in, you could tell how much it's going over the curve. If it's 250 miles up, you'd actually start seeing it you'd
see it drop down, wouldn't you?
You'd see it tip. You'd see it actually. Well, the thing is, you'd see it obviously perspective, but you'd actually see it just looked like it had to be tipped at an angle. I don't know if that would be possible to detect or not, but you get these globers that say about how the planes flying upside down and people standing upside down and what have you. It's like, it's relative.
Oh, I haven't got relatives in Australia.
Gravitational pull.
Well, they just make it look as if they want to just show you that the Earth is round, and it wouldn't matter if they were up there. If they were going around a globe, let's say, then it would look the same all the time, wouldn't it? Like sometimes they rotate the picture so it's upside down. Well, there's no up or down. It would still look the same no matter which way the camera was pointing, wouldn't it? You still see the same perspective, but they deliberately turn it upside down and give that impression that they've now gone beneath the Earth.
Oh, I see. So they would actually be able to kind of fool you into thinking that it's kind of gone
underneath.
Yeah.
Well, if you're on a plane, you don't know if you're underneath or on the top, do you? Unless you can look down at the ground and see where you are. If that was the case.
Yeah. And then the people are like, it doesn't need to tip its nose down. Dip its nose down or whatever. Gravity again.
Hey up, guys.
Hey, Ali, how's it going, mate?
Not so bad, mate.
Good.
All right, Jamie, how you doing?
I'm doing fine, thanks. How you doing?
Not so bad. Hungover.
Have you?
Oh God, man! I didn't do any work yesterday, so I just got myself some beers. Lovely sunny day. Got out and just had a hangout and just started talking shite for about 7 hours. Ended up flinging that who was it? That Tors or something like that off the hangout.
Well, I didn't watch it, but I saw a title of one of your hangouts said about curved water admits flat Earth. I mean, apparently that was a misleading title or something. There's all that about. out?
Well, I was taking the piss out in winter. I was taking the piss out of him because I've had a few run-ins with him. So I thought I'd fling that in just to attract that crowd. So. But I had that, who did that? That Lord Stephen Christ came on with one of his followers, and I just blasted it. I lost it, man, when the guy started talking all that shit about the Bible and stuff, just some of the stuff he was saying, and there was a few.
Yeah, I can't take these people seriously, me. It's just, I'm done with, with anyone who's just like, it's like even if the earth were, say, concave, then I can see how they could use people like Lord Stephen Christ to actually kind of discredit it, sort of thing.
I don't think he talks like that in real life.
Well, it's probably just, it's probably just a facade.
Yeah, nobody talks like that in real life. I wonder if his neighbours know he's Jesus Christ. So.
Oh, well, hang on, I've heard of this guy.
I'll tell you what. Right, but see, his model is. I'll tell you what, he does go into good debt.
Concave spherical glass sky, stationary model.
Yeah, but the thing. Well, I don't know whether he's. Yeah, I'm not sticking up for the guy, but he does. It's quite strange. He does come across as quite knowledgeable about the subject. He's kind of got an answer for everything. But that
like when we say what is the reverse curvature, then they'll say, it's because of gravity bending light or whatever.
Yeah, see, they keep admitting this
gravity.
What is the proof of that? Well, I had a good conversation. That Tors came on, tried to educate us on, how a helium balloon works, and he was going on about air pressure. So I goes, so air pressure can overcome gravity, and it just went fucking silent. It just went silent because he didn't realise. I let the guy explain what the balloon. It was about a balloon. I think it was that Spurs chemo he was on, and I just let them go on, and then I just said that, and then it was just silence regarding the different pressure of the air. The air on the bottom was thicker. There was more air on the bottom of the
but it's gravity
than there was. Well, it couldn't be. There was one and it was lighter air pressure on the top of it as it travelled upward. So I said, it's the air pressure's pushing up now against gravity. It's not the helium. It's actually the atmospheric pressure underneath the balloon that's surrounding the balloon underneath is more than the pressure that's around the top of the balloon. And he just went on, and that's what I said. I said, all right, okay, so it's atmosphere that makes balloons rise now. And it just went, that went on for about 10 minutes as well. I let him go for about 10 minutes talking the biggest load of crap ever, man, about air pressure and helium balloons and why they rise, man. So I asked him, I said, does a molecule of helium act the same then? And it went silent again, man, Yeah, that's stupid. I had a great time yesterday, though. It was brilliant. I didn't realise I could talk shite for so long.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, thanks very much. So what's been happening, Jamie? What have you been looking at then, mate?
Well, we're just talking about, the corpuscular rays. Obviously, someone said it about it in chat, and I think he said he was a flat earther, but he said, well, if because of the atmosphere, it can refract, whatever. So he said it's not really like an argument for any side, really.
It's not Jamie, right? And I done this about a year ago. I covered this about a year ago. Go Google underwater pictures of the sun. You go down, you get the same effect. But what it could be saying is, back to this, what myself, Chris, were talking about, there could be some kind of fluid up there. It's the same thing. It's reflecting off. The sun isn't there, but the picture of the sun. Remember what we talked about with the atmosphere, Chris? I've been thinking more about that. Yeah. The starlight, that was. Did you look into any more about that, or come up with anything, or regarding how the stars weren't there, and then put a lens on, and it's reflecting off the atmosphere, because in crepuscular rays you get the same effect, and you can't tell me the sun's just above the water.
Yeah, that was my plan today, but I got into a few other bits and pieces today,
But the thing is, it's never been repeated with where it's like 93 million. I mean, at that same sort of scale to prove that it could actually come in parallel, right? Yeah,
it's weird. Anyway, I mean, there's a lot of, like that thing I mentioned about the polar vortex seems to move the when the sun, when it's changing seasons. And I had an interesting thing there where I had stellarium on there, and I actually went onto the sun. I suggest people do this because I was talking about a wobble, right? Because it wobbles. The sun, the Earth, when it spins, right, not only is it set at an angle, it's kind it's an off-centre spin, if you know what I mean. If you put, I'm trying to think how you would do that. If you put your finger on top of a ball, circle, right, not making it spin, put your finger on top of a ball and make a tiny little circle. That's what the Earth does as well, which means that and it does it over, like it does it constant, right? So if you speeded it up, it'd be wobbling. That means that the parallax of the North Pole, man, it would never keep pointing in that direction. I'm seeing let me see if I've still got it open. I might still have the program open, and I'll just show you a quickie what I was meaning. Is it still open? I'll give you a quick what I meant by it. I need to go to it. Yeah. But what else, Jamie? What else have you been looking at?
Not really. I was going on before about the ex-heliocentrics video, the Rocky Mountain of Evidence, because Chris, you told me to go and watch it, so I thought I'd go watch that because it's just another great proof against the ball, really.
What video was that then, Jamie? What one was that?
Well, I'll tell you what.
Ex-heliocentric, he's called.
All right.
Yeah, you can. I'll probably just put. I can probably just put it in the side chat, so you can.
I'll stick it in the chat. Stick it in the chat as well, Jamie. Let other people.
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat before, but I'll probably do it again because just in case more people have joined. So
yeah, that's what if you have links, Jamie, it's probably a good idea if you stick them in the chat now and again, just for.
Yeah, because you get different people coming in and out, don't you? So
yeah, keep it going all the way through. So as I say, because some people just actually watch and don't comment, go into the comments.
Yeah, we don't know exactly who's watching, do we? Really, and when they're watching or out like that. We definitely know one thing. Somebody's watching. Big Brother's watching.
That's it. Somebody watching you. Right, let me see. So
this video. Well, it's actually there's two videos, but it was the last one I watched.
It's one with the maths, yeah.
It's 31 minutes, and there was one at 18 minutes. But it says this is like an updated version of it or something. So
yeah.
But yeah, it was like because apparently one of the mountains that he was able to see whoever it was, it weren't him that went to take the picture, were it? It was someone else, but he was just analysing it, weren't he? And,
and he got in contact with the guy who took the picture.
Yeah. So it was kind of weren't primary knowledge or anything like that. It was kind of secondary, but then again, it would be secondary for us anyway, really. And I was going on earlier about because it's good these line of sight tests, because if you've got some reference points, you can tell if like things are going over the curve or whatever. If it should be visible or it shouldn't be visible or whatever, because if you've got a couple of peaks where they're the same height as where you are, then that's a big good place to do a test. But
do you want to click my screen, Jamie? There.
All right, I'll just.
Can you see that picture of the Earth?
Yeah.
The map? Yep, you got that right. If you click that, Jamie, or present that for me.
I'll just present to everyone then. I've clicked on the.
I'll just explain what I've done there. What I'm going to. Well, this is just my opinion. It might be, as I say, with that stellarium, I like to go off into different planets and look at the Earth or look at the Moon. Look at the Moon from the Sun or look at the Moon from Mars. Try and get an idea of all the different behaviours that they're telling us. And then I thought, so I had a look at the Earth from the Sun. Right, this is what it's at there. This is the position of it today. So what I've done was because I couldn't quite get my head around the actual forces that were acting on the Earth, because it spins on its axis and it does wobble. It wobbles it. So I had a conversation with that curved water, but I'll just show you what happens when you stick a bit of speed in it.
Curved water, right?
Right, that's it. There we go. Right, watch this. Forget about the Moon, but watch how the South Pole comes. I'm going to speed it up once more. I hope it's the thing. Right, watch this. Watch the South Pole and watch the thing. If you catch and catch the date, how the date. So it's going every day. Watch the South Pole coming in. It's not taking 6 months. This is happening. See how it's there?
Yeah.
Right, look the way it's sort of wobbling. So it's actually wobbling off its axis as well. See the South. Look at that. Now think of the parallax. If you were looking at, and this is happening daily. Look at the date at the bottom. If anybody can see my cursor there.
Yeah.
All right. So it's going very slowly. We can do that and go back to the time again.
So you're saying you'd be like kind of
watch the South Pole come in here, and this is happening. This is going in days. This isn't a month. See there, it's coming in. Yeah. Watch its movement, and this is it just speeded up, and this is meant to be happening. Now I'm thinking if we were looking at stars, there, look, the South Pole's there now. So this has been a different position. the North Pole surely would have parallax, if you know what I mean. The North Pole shouldn't actually, it'd be possible for the North Pole, it'd be changing like, I don't know.
Traffic lights.
If you know what, did you get that, Chris, what I was showing you there?
Yeah, I could see the way it was wobbling on the bottom there. Yeah.
Well, it wobbled. Wait a minute, we'll do it a bit quicker. There you go. Look, and this is happening over days, right? You can see the bottom where my cursor is. That's the day, and that's the month. And we're looking at a North Star that's always pointing directly, never shifts. And this is happening daily. So you would think you would see parallax.
Yeah.
Look how much it's moving. Look at that angle. This is how our Earth's meant to move. This is fast though, yeah. But it doesn't matter. It's still over a day. That South Pole should change in position in 6 months, kind of thing. Now look,
it's gone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But anyway, and I checked out the mathematics. The mathematics they hold to it's the what's that, Jet Propulsion Lab. Well, that was lucky as well. The moon back in there.
With JPL.
But they took the equations and the mathematics algorithms from all and it gives you references. You can actually, if you look at Stellarium, it'll tell you all the mathematics that. You know, the behaviour, and it gives you references to the papers and all the calculations.
Yeah.
Basically, the script. I could build this myself. I could.
If we're orbiting around the sun, we should be seeing new stars not every day. I mean, there should be seeing different stars every day almost.
Yeah, never mind the rest of the stars. It's the North Pole I'm specifically talking about.
Yeah.
Understand? So if you're here and you're looking up, so and North would be that way. Think of that view. Now then, when you bring that back into play. The way the South Pole moves, right? It's kind of impossible to say that you would see the North Pole constant just because of its behaviour. Now, I've just started looking into this. You know, watch when the South Pole comes in. Look how much of a different, and I mean that's its motion. Now it's away. Now think of the angle, right? Think of the angle changed. So it's on one side, 1 minute, and one. That's quite a revolution, if you know what I mean. That's quite a parallax. You would notice that surely. Look, because look now, we're up here, Europe's up here now, and then it was down here before. So there's it.
Well, just got to show it's not that accurate then.
Aye, but it just goes to show that the model that they're using all they don't use gravity. They weren't using there's something like that's right. They didn't use gravitational tides in the actual program, right? But you can add it. You can add that.
But gravity is magic, though.
No, that's what I'm saying, right? So that kind of shows, and that's in the space of days. You know, this is happening constant. Apparently, that's their model. That's what I'm saying. But it's done with their mathematics, so it's kind of accurate. How I don't think there would be that much off that they would be showing this wobbling about as much. Right, Jamie, you can stop presenting me, mate, before I go back in there, bud.
Yeah, right.
Just something to ponder, just something to think about, guys. That was it. You done that, yeah?
We're doing what?
You stopped presenting me?
Yeah, I think so. I'll just
You have to do it now, Ali.
Oh yeah, right. Hang on. Yeah, I'm good. Right, that's fine. I'll go back to it. As long as it's just my avatar that's showing, it's fine.
Yeah.
Hang on. Let me just do this, guys. And I want to hide the stop screen. All right, okay.
Oh yeah.
Is that me there?
Yep.
Pretty good. I don't know. That was just something. I've got that link. It was just something I was looking at, kind of thing.
The thing is, they demand a working model from Flat Earth, but they've had obviously hundreds of years to perfect their model.
Yeah, well, exactly. So what was it?
But people were stupid before they realised that the Earth they didn't have the technology back then, so that's why whatever. They said that they couldn't navigate before. They didn't know how to navigate before the globe, whatever. Well, yeah, it's it's possible on both.
I wonder if anybody knows or anybody in the chat knows. Was it ever written down? People actually thought that they would fall off the edge of the world. Is it actually been documented by someone saying that that's what would happen? From that time?
No, I never. In fact,
well, they say Christopher Columbus said it, but I would be very interested to see if there was actually, because if they believed that was going to happen, they would have written it down. It's only 400 years ago, man.
A lot of the old conceptions seem to kind of point to there being some kind of tent over us, whatever. But not sure if I really believe in any of that, to be honest. But it's why would they claim there to be an edge if that's not even what anyone claimed? I was saying that they will say, why won't you fall off the edge then? Well, who put that in your head?
Yeah, well, that's it. think? Would you think? Just imagine now, or people. We'll never ever know. But it's just a thought that if, as I say, if you just suddenly turned up here, there'd be nothing that you looked around at would give you the impression it was a ball. Maybe if you looked at the sun.
It's probably to do with the horizon thing that he didn't sail off the edge, so therefore he must have went round the curve. So then what people thought, that some people probably got the idea that the horizon were the curve, and even I probably thought that the horizon were actually the curvature of the Earth or something. And that obviously when I found it out, I was like, yeah, they've got some good points about one of the first points I came across was the horizon being flat, but then again it's like, would that be the case on a globe anyway? I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? But I just find it funny that was the first impression that we got. But as I say, it'd be interesting. I might actually do that. See if there's anybody that actually wrote. It actually was written down. So at the time, it was actually written down. It's not someone that said that, because it just seems a bit strange. Because I don't think I don't know where I could get the impression that I was actually on. No, I don't know whether it's an automatic thought. Just to, if you looked up and you seen the moon, you thought, oh, I'm on the same thing. Is that? But would that? I don't know. Would that be a disc? It's just kind of strange.
It didn't know, did they? So they imagine if you're the first one that's going to go outside of land in a ship. I'm getting feedback here. Hello? Getting a bit of feedback.
Right, wait a second, mate. I'll mute myself. Keep talking. I'll mute myself. See if it's coming from me. If it is, I'll put my headphones on.
All right, buddy. Yeah, that's better. So the first one, they would have gone out, would have thought that they were going to go or get the edge. They didn't know where that was. So, they'd have had the guys up in the crow's nest looking. They wouldn't have seen the edge. So they would have kept on going, or maybe decided to turn back and create another expedition. I don't believe Columbus felt he was going to fall off the edge. I'm not sure what it is in the writing, but he knew that there was, it was the New World, wasn't he? That's what they called it, the New World.
That could have, for all we know, that could have been the early kind of control. Or they told them that there was an edge, so they would stay within a confined area. But then when people actually found the other lands, then they had to kind of come up with a globe.
I don't think it was then that they came up with the globe.
Yeah, well, I know that some say that they believed in a globe before then, but some people, in the the ancient Greeks, that they suppose, but I don't even know if that's even the case, to be honest. Who even knows whether the history is even true or not?
Just about, mate. A little bit higher you need to be.
Yeah, that is strange.
Yeah, yeah, that'll do.
Is that better? Yeah, it's all very strange, isn't it? I mean, the more it was that ice I was talking about that there. It's like, if you think back of the journey of our knowledge, like everything's been debunked and stuff like that, and it's just getting a bit obvious that there's answers on both sides of it, which would make even me curious.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Yeah, because I was thinking that the globers seem to have answers for everything, don't they?
Yeah, but we do as well. That was it. This is the point. The fact that there's confusion there. And now, do you think it's only flat earthers? As I say, I was watching a video about 2 years ago, and it was Alan Guth. I talked about this before, I think, and he was giving one of his lectures on his inflation theory. He was trying to, to students, but it was mature students.
Oh yeah.
The first thing he came out with, he was doing his wee introduction, right? And then he was, anybody a member of Flat Earth Society? He get paused, and then goes, oh, okay, and turned round. And I wish I could find it again, because his reaction, he wouldn't have been surprised, right? He wouldn't have been surprised if someone had turned round. It was like he would, and said, yeah, I am, kind of thing. Or me. But some of them might have been sat there. It could have been a ploy. Some of them might have been sat there. So there must be, I think there's, my honest belief is, I think there's scientists and other, quite high up and, maybe respected scientists that are members of the Flat Earth Society, but they won't come out in public and say it. But it's kind of known within the area, oh, he's one of the flat, because I can't believe that not out of all the thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of scientists that study or study the planets or the anything at all can not at least see, wait a minute, that sum doesn't work.
So do you think they swore an oath then or something?
Nah, I don't think it's that. It's their fear of jobs. They get ridiculed. I mean, look at the amount. I mean, you could go back in history. I mean, it's happening now. There's somebody probably poor professor lost his tenure because he said something or he's questioned something. It's a closed club. It's a closed group. There's a thing that's called the International Planetary Society, I think it's called, or something like that. Anyway, it's in America, right? What they do is they get funding off the government. This is the big thing, and they actually decide what direction science goes. They're deciding. The in thing at the moment's gravitational waves, right? They apparently found one, and now they're moving off onto other things. But so you could basically say
this phase of science is the gravitational wave.
Gravitational waves, and this is what happens this is it. But you've got to understand that if this society, right, it's huge. It actually decides. Think about it. It actually decides what direction that science goes. That means that they decide. It doesn't mean they're hiding. Well, they can be hiding things, but even the scientists might not know it. If you know what I mean. They get funded. It's like, for example, when they do that con in Britain. Oh, there's a shortage of carpenters, and suddenly there's courses pop up out of nowhere, and you can become a cabinet maker in a week or something like that. These stupid courses, but that's guided. That's actually a false economy. That's actually just to flood the market, to give the companies more choice so they can drop the wages they've got. This is what this has done. So when you hear in the newspapers, like in Britain, we've got a lack of nurses, we've got a lack of this, blah blah, we've got a lack of this. Well, the actual reason behind it is to flood the market. Start up courses, people, companies make money, then they flood the market, and if there's more people in that sector of work, they can afford to drop the wages, because there's always someone that needs a job, especially in that kind of. So it's a huge con, man. See, when you actually look into economics, right? There's a great book. It's called Economics in One Lesson. It's like required reading if you want it. If you're going to university to study economics, kind of thing. It's a guy called someone Hazlitt or something. It's just a short book. It's about 200 pages, maybe. It might be 200 pages long, and it explains everything. And what happens is, when you read this book and you go out into your town or whatever and see the council building a bit of road, or maybe building a bridge or whatever, you know exactly what that's about, and it's fucking disgusting, if you excuse the language. They're actually siphoning funds, and this isn't a conspiracy book, by the way. This is talking about proper economics, but it explains what happens. They build you. They say, this is going to cost £60 million, right? And they build you a big, huge temple or a big phallic symbol. This is basically psychologically what they're doing. So when people walk about, they kind of forget the 60 million. They've got this object in front of them. Whereas what would be more economically viable is to give tax breaks to the little firm, the little company, the guy that's got five people working for a six. Because what happens if he gets tax break, right? He'll be able to take more employees on. It's like a progression. It's been proven. They know all this. They know how these economics work, and so that they are able to take someone else on because of the extra money that they've got, so they can take bigger jobs. Because a lot of the problems with small companies, myself included, but I chose not to take. I would take jobs when I had my gardening company in London. I would only take jobs that max lasted 2 weeks, because I got bored going to the same job. That's why I was self-employed. I've been self-employed for fuck knows how long. But this is what.
Because if you can, like, sort of, that you're not like a rigid kind of routine, whatever.
Yeah, well, I was never one for. Well, this is it, Jamie. I was never one for that. I was never one for that kind of thing, and I like being my own boss, obviously. But the point is, with that little bit of economics there. So what happens is, and they employ more people, and they can take on bigger jobs, so they can expand a little bit. You'll find little companies, little guy doesn't usually expand quickly, and people say, well, there'll be too many companies. No, what happens? You let the market decide. If that company's no good, it'll fall by the wayside, and it keeps the actual. When you have competition, it actually keeps the standard of work up, so people get better service for their money. It's just like a natural progression, or like that. Just what I said there, the simple thing like that. If they give a bit of tax relief to small companies, guys with 5-6 employees and stuff like that, yeah, it's a natural progression that more money comes into that local economy because that guy can take on more. Honestly, it's if, for example, if you read a book like that, then it just, I'm just getting more and more, although I know we're getting controlled, I know we're living in a false economic state, I know things could be way, way better, and it's been, our progression has been retarded, and that means slowed down, not retarded to anybody that gets offended by that word, but progression, our economic progression, it gets strangled on purpose.
Yeah, do you remember when there's the big crash and these councils around the country, turned out a lot of them had money in Iceland banks? This is council tax, yeah?
Yep.
And there were sums of like 60, 80 million, 90 million pounds. I'm thinking, hang on a minute, this is the council tax money that people said that they had to be paid to pay for police, fire brigade, street lighting, waste collection, whatever, yeah? And if they've got a surplus of 60 million quid, how come they're not ploughing that back in? If they've got a surplus of 60 million quid that they're hiding away to make more money on, that means technically that everyone's overpaid and they should regulate it. But yeah,
that was a slush fund. That's what you've heard of that saying before in the newspapers. You've heard of a council slush fund, a government slush fund. You must have heard that phrase, slush fund.
Yeah,
that's what it is. Right? But we never got told that. I've heard that from a boy.
What is it? Funding for slush puppies?
Yeah, slush puppies, exactly. But listen to this one then, Chris. You'll love this. Think of that, and I'll add this extra wee bit of information. Is that the government tells the council where they can invest, where they have to invest their money. So they actually guide them to the companies. How much corrupt is that, mate? You know what I mean? And that's a fact. This is all you can check. Anybody want to go and check check out the council charters and how they get their budget. They get told what companies by the government. Right, there's your budget, there's your money, and they set it in a bank account. That's what I'm saying. This is things I was talking about, as I say, last year. I was making videos, but as I say, I was getting 20 hits, and this is all part of the knowledge that we have to attain as well, because like going to that Socratic method, maybe we can't get to people through the flat earth way, but the more that we learn, the more we can stick, because it only takes them to start lose. We have to make them lose faith in the government, but realize, people have lost faith in government, but we have to point out that. And I think the best to do it is through the monetary, through money.
Yeah, but it's just not our generation, is it? It's been going on for years, and people say, "Oh yeah, well it's always this, always that." I mean, take for example, right, the Severn Bridge. When I started working in Wales, there was only the one bridge, the Severn Bridge. It was 50p each way, and they needed to strengthen it because the amount of traffic that was projected was wrong when they built this thing. And they built this thing with the public's money. It was a public purse that paid for it out of the treasury, and that's money that you and I paid in taxes probably, and millions of others. And what did they end up doing? They flogged it to a French company to build another bridge, and then the charges went through the roof. Private enterprise, but the government flogged it off. Stuff that the public had paid for. It was our property, and they flogged it.
Well, this is it. Oh well, listen, this is happening in real time. You wait to see that at the moment the government's giving away all your land, all our land to the United Nations. They're making it into what do you call it? Oh, it's brilliant. I mean, the scam is so deep, it involves everything. I mean, for example, at the moment with that Agenda 21, they're giving away your land. They're turning them into little nature reserves. Oh yeah, it's for people to walk in. It's lovely. Look, we've got wooden bridges and stuff like that. But as I've explained before, what happens then is, maybe 2 years later, we found this flower, or maybe they vandalise the trees, get people to just go about vandalising to get it closed in, right? Yeah. And then this is just one of the aspects. There's so many, there's more than two sides to this bloody coin. But as I say, that's one of them. So I think the more people diversify and find, because to try and change someone's opinion or direct them, because basically what we're trying to direct them into is not that the earth is flat, right? Because people knowing that's not going to enrich anybody's life. Spiritually it might, but socially and financially stuff like that, it's not.
To me, it's like the implications of it,
That's it. That's exactly. That's it. So we need to make people susceptible to that. So the more things you learn, as I say, if someone wants to learn, right? If someone wants to learn about economics, I swear in that book, I'll post a link to this, right? I suggest people sit down and read this book, and I swear it, when you're out walking about in your local town and you're seeing public jobs getting done, the world looks, I swear it, man, it's like learning the earth is flat for the first time. You walk about and you're amazed, you're seeing the world totally different. Well, I can assure you, when you go out your door and you walk down the street and see the roadworks, the council works, and why is it they're like, oh, they're always digging up the road round here? You know, they just.
Oh yeah, I've noticed that. It's like, why can't they just like do a proper job and then they don't have to do it for another 5 years or whatever?
Well, who's going to make who's going to make money?
Exactly. I've seen it where the water board comes along, they dig a hole, they do whatever they need to do, they fill it all in and they sod off, and then before a couple of weeks are out, the gas board come along, then they have to do their stuff. They dig everything up where the water board was, and then they put it all in, and then it's the electric boards that come along who've got to do their stuff. Jesus, you know.
I was a guy working for the electricity and the cable company. I was probably one of them guys doing that. I have done hundreds of kilometres of the cable all over London, cable television, lifting up pavements and everything, ripping up tarmac roads, closing off roads and everything. Earned good money at it. I tell you what, it's phenomenal money. Well, there was at the beginning. It used to get paid by the meter, and it was in the 3 metre. The 5 metre. Pipes.
Yeah,
that was great. That was a good wee job.
But have you heard the latest one where what's happening at the moment? You know, people buying new houses off these building companies. You know, like I don't want to mention any names, but you know, some of the big house builders.
Yeah, like Balfour Beatties and all that, Wimpy Homes and that. Yeah.
Stuff like that. Yeah. So it turns out, and there are obviously more out there that you can choose from, but they instead of freehold now, it's leasehold, and they get a contract, and the solicitor, that goes through all the documents, and it'll say there's a £250 ground rent because it's leasehold, right? So they say okay, and it's like okay, that's about £5 a week or something ground. It doesn't sound too bad, does it, for the leasehold, yeah? Because you don't own exactly all of the ground, so you're renting the ground that the house is on. Even though you've bought the house, you don't own the land.
Oh, scammy bastard.
All right? I mean, that's leasehold for you, right? You know that. You enter into the contract, you get told it, you sign the contract, off it goes. And then what happens is the building company actually flog the land to a different organisation, and they put up, and that's it, it's guaranteed not to go up for 10 years. And what happens is they double and triple it within 8 years. So now you've got a ground rent of £1,000 or something like that.
Right, now, there we go. There's another example of government corruption. Yeah. If you were a Prime Minister, anybody answer this question, and your job was to look after your people, I don't know, where's this disconnect by looking at these people and think, wait a minute, these guys are they're thieves. Now, for a government to allow that to happen, because that's criminal. That's criminal. That's. But
then again, you might say, well, it's because we consent to it, so it doesn't make it criminal.
Yeah, but that's what do you call it? That's non-disclosure. That's what they've done. They've not given you the full details. But in law, you'd be hard to prove. That they done that. It was a conscionable act, that they knew they were doing it. That was their plan from the beginning.
Oh, you got to prove. That's what you'd have to prove, isn't it? But ethically, it sounds wrong, doesn't it? They must have had that plan to do that. So not only you're paying your mortgage, your council tax, your water, now you're paying this other thing on top. And when my parents had a house when I was a kid, they had a rateable value on their house, and the rateable value was what you had to pay, and that covered all your rates, like water, your council tax, everything was in that rateable value of a house, and it seemed a fair system. And along comes somebody years later thinking, hang on a minute, let's privatise the water, all right, and then we'll contract that out, and before you know it, we're paying exactly the same for two things. So we're paying double. We're paying this for water now, and now we're paying this for council tax, when they used to be connected together and you paid a one bill. So they've separated it out and pushed them both right up. So our cost of living, they're keeping us down by taking more of your hard-earned. Huh?
You pay council tax.
Do I pay council tax?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the law. You have to.
Oh, do you still believe? Oh, no. Oh, well, no. Well, I'll tell you what then, right? All right, wait a second, right? I'll write you a letter, right? Now, I've done this for a few people, my friends up in Scotland. I'll write you a letter if you send that, or you can phone them up. I got one of my friends to phone them up about it, and I proved, that this was kind of, as I say, I've looked into all this stuff, and I wouldn't mislead you in any way.
Oh no.
My friend actually negotiated with them how much is your council tax, if you don't mind asking?
No, well, I'm quite fortunate. It's not that high, but
all right, okay. Well, my mate, he was paying, I think it was £700 £700 or something like that, right? And I told him, I says, look, I says, I'll sit next to you. I says, phone them up and thank them very much for the wonderful service that they've been offering you, giving you for all these many years, but you've decided to empty your own bins. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Right? And the woman, I was shocked, right? I was shocked because this was like a beta test to find out if this actually worked. And straight away, the woman turned around. She goes, well, after about a minute's conversation, she said, my mate asked for the services. He said, well, what services is it for? And she gave off a list of services.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, I don't mind paying for the fire service. I'll pay for that. That was, I can't remember how much that was a year, right? So I got his bill, I think, from £500-600 down to £15 a year. I've had my mates, but only because he thought he said that, oh no, I'll pay for the fire brigade. That's a good one. I don't mind. And another couple of things that were to do.
Police and street lighting.
Something like that. But there's a big long list though. You should actually phone up, right?
Yeah, they itemise it, don't they?
Yep, and they do that. So because the point is, what you have to understand, right? They're charging you money. They're offering a service, right?
Yeah.
I would like to see a law that's written anywhere that that's like me coming round to your garden, right? Doing your garden, enforcing you that you have got to have me as your gardener, right?
Yeah.
So the thing is, and I was really surprised. The woman that he talked to, it was just one of the receptionist people, straight away, yep, council tax. It wasn't a manager or anything. She went straight into it.
Yeah,
got the list. Oh, yep, sound. So they know, Chris, you don't pay council tax. That is the thing. You don't have to pay it. And I've got a letter that I wrote for my friends. I've done it about 4 or 5 times now for my friends, and they're all council tax free.
Yeah.
That guy, my mate was the only guy that said, well, he was quite strange as well. So but he wants. Oh well, no, but I think that was quite honourable of him when he did say that. He said, "Oh, I'll pay. Oh yeah, I'll help with the fire brigade. I don't mind that."
Yeah.
But which was, I thought, oh, very good. But the others, they just got council tax free. Nobody can force you to take a service you don't want. Think about it. It doesn't take away the council. Take away what we've been brainwashed into believing that that this entity somehow has. But it is basically a company that is offering you a service, council service. Right? It's offering you a service. Now, there is no thing that's written in law that says that you have to accept. Someone can force a service upon you. Absurd, right?
Yeah.
So you can say, no, thank you. The best one is, the easiest one is, if you just want to cut your council tax by some, just tell them that you'll empty your own bins. It's okay. I've suddenly grown up now, and I think I can manage and take my own rubbish to the council tip. Thank you very much. Right?
Yeah.
What are they going to do? No, you're getting forced. Can you imagine if you went in? Think of this then, right? Yeah. So they brought a case against you, took you into court. That judge, there's no way in a million years, because the minute that judge agrees with him, he is now agreeing that any company whatsoever can force a service upon everybody. So that's like he's saying McDonald's can do it, so he's giving carte blanche, because what do lawyers do? They use that as a precedent. They use that as an example of a law.
Yeah.
And so judges, it's impossible. You don't even need to fight against it, because it will never ever go to court the minute you say.
Yeah.
Where does it say that? What law says that anybody can force a service upon? And it's logic, and that's how law works. That is basic logic for anybody to sit and philosophise whether it's the council and this. No, people don't understand that the councils, and actually, especially when you're dealing with regarding the money. Hi Neil, how you doing, mate?
Hi, Ali.
Hi Neil. Hi buddy.
Hi Jamie.
Yeah, I was going to say, Ali, there was I got a bill from a solicitor for a house purchase in 2004, and there was some other fees on it, and it was like conveyancing fees or something like that. And I said to him, "That's a bit steep, isn't it?" And he went, "Oh, well," he said, "it's from the X, Y, and Z," and it was all supposed to pay the bill. And I said, "No." I said, "I want them to tell me what that bill's for. I want them to break it down." "Oh, all right then." All right. So he come back and he went, "Oh, it's they've knocked 20% off." I went, "Sorry?" I said, "Have they itemised it?" He went, "No." I said, "Well, tell them. Oh, thank you very much for the 20%. Now itemise the rest of it." And he said to me, "You might lose this house if you carry on with this." I said, "Hey, listen, I'm employing you. You work for me, not them. Now go back and tell them to itemise it." And he was getting pissed off with me. And he's supposed to be working for me.
Well, this is it. Well, there you go. Take that in.
Yeah.
Take that. Look at that in the bigger picture. But this is it, though, Chris. They're all working. See, the lawyers are in the same club. Honestly, they're just one big.
Yeah.
Exactly what you said.
As they'd say in Ireland, they're lawyers.
Well, they are, but that's true though. They are. I mean, honestly, as I always say, that if you go into court with a lawyer, you're already lost. You're already lost.
Yeah.
You do deals with each other. Remember, look, they're in the same club. He's in the bar society. That guy's signed an oath before he signs the pledge to the public. The pledge to the public, but they pledge an oath to the bar. That is them there. It's like the Masons, but another club. But a lot of lawyers are in the Masons. But that's the way to keep this. Look, to keep this system going, you have to toe the line. You have to have these things set in. Like that guy says, it has to be. But they know that, and I mean, it's logical. It's like it doesn't take much thinking to think. Yeah, well, of course, it's absurd to think that it's not. You know what I mean? Otherwise, that system would not survive. It's absurd thinking that it's not that way. You know what I mean?
It's like the magistrate's court, right? So if you get summoned to a magistrate's court, and you've got a hearing or something, like a speeding offence or something like that. The moment you walk through those doors, right, to accepting that anything anybody says means that you, as an individual, accept it as a court of law. But until you do, it's not a court of law. So when you go in and you have to give your name at the reception, you give your name, they give you a form to fill in. You say, what's that? They'll say, that's your bank details, your name, and I said, well, I'm guilty already, am I? I said, no, I ain't signing anything. I said, I'm just here of my own free will and volition. Go and take a seat. And if you go in, if you get called in, you could turn around and say, I'm the body that represents that name. I'm the physical body that represents that name, or vice versa, right? You still don't have to accept that it's a court of law. And if they say to you, they'll hold you in contempt, you can turn around and say, is that criminal or is that civil offence? And they won't answer it because it doesn't exist, because you haven't accepted it as a court of law. So the magistrate's court is only there, and it's only there if you accept it. You don't have to accept it.
Oh, so yeah, it's a commercial business. That's all it is. It's a place of business where
it's not law.
Wherever money is exchanged, right?
Yeah.
You know for a fact it's not. You're not being charged with a criminal offence. Otherwise, you go to jail for crimes.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the fact is that if the minute they say you owe me £50 or you owe me £100, because that's what they're saying with this when they say they fine you or whatever, right? Now suddenly that law now is commercial law. It's business. Now we're doing business, man. Right?
That's
now
right.
we've got to talk business in, right? Okay, you say I owe you that, right? We'll prove it. And then they'll go, oh well, it's a speeding ticket, and you say, well, look, mate, I've got a right to travel. End of story. But I was going to make another point. If you know how to write a letter, you will never ever appear in court, as long as you've not killed anybody. Yeah. Right. So the thing is, the best advice when you get involved with this free man, or if anybody forget learning about what you say in court and anything like that. Learn learn what an affidavit is, and learn how to fill out, and just follow them basic rules, and you just send it into the courts. You don't need to talk. Register it. To your email or whatever.
Don't sign it in black ink. Sign it in red.
Well, actually, do you know what? If you sign it in purple, that's you're saying you are man, or you are the
that's it.
You're your own person, kind of thing. But all them kind of things they're little tiny things. You can sign it in any one you want, as long as the words are explaining, right? I know who you are. I know who I am. Right. Let's take it from there.
I've never understood why do they make you sign it in black?
Well, think about it. You're getting charged. You're getting charged with speeding. You're getting charged. What does charge mean? If I charge you something, Chris, what does that immediately involve?
You think
I'm giving you a bill. Exactly.
You want money out of me.
Right. Well, I want money off you, don't you? So if I charge you, I'm charging you some money. So you want a receipt, you want to, right, like what you said, you done exactly what I've always done. Can I get that itemised? That lawyer, he's a crook. That guy was a crook. Yeah. But the fact that you're getting charged, say, okay, you're charging me, right? Well, what have you given me to charge me that? No, have you given me anything? You know what I mean? It's like, do you know, when you learn it, it's all right in front of you. It's all right in front of your face. And as I say, the best thing to do when you go into law is learn who you are, and I mean really learn the position on this planet. Unfortunately, we've got to talk about God regarding this, but it doesn't matter. God created us. Anything we create, it can never have any more power.
I thought you said you didn't believe in God.
It doesn't matter. That's got nothing to do with it, because our system's built. But your protection lies in that book, right? In Deuteronomy and Ecclesiastes.
That's why they ask you to swear on it.
You know, but that's also binding. See, you can choose. You can do. Yeah, that's like a wee. There's a wee complicated thing to that.
You have an option to, don't you? That's the thing.
Yeah, but there's a wee. Sorry.
Yeah, carry on.
All right, there's a wee nuance with that Bible thing. I never bothered looking at it once. Actually, but the point is, you've got to you've got to find out who you are. It's really hard to explain, but it's like it's a spiritual moment anyway. When I got it, it was spiritual. I just my whole life changed, man. It was like 4 years ago. My whole life. What was it? 2012. It was just like, boom, wow. And as I say, from now, when I see the police in my rear view mirror, there's the police, and just carry on or anything like that. That fear of the police driving behind me has gone, right? Yeah. And that was the biggest thing. I thought, wow. And I was actually driving about for about 6 months going, stop me. Come on, man, just fuck it. I dare you to stop me, man. And do you know what? Never once did I get stopped or anything to try my stuff out in my car. You know what I mean? I was like, I've got to try this because it's technology, right?
Yeah.
It's actual technology and you can have fun with it, but it's that same one. Sun Tzu says, pick your battles.
Yeah.
Like, don't shout and bawl at them and say, I'm a free man, I'm a man on the land and all that. They just, what are you talking about? Be relaxed. And, if you're going to get, I don't know, it's definitely spiritual and it's a confidence thing. It's getting rid of all the self-hate that's kind of psychologically implanted into us from child. The minute we open our eyes, we're getting bombarded with self-hate.
Yeah.
How to hate yourself. The 101 ways to, or 1,000,001 ways to hate yourself. Join the club. By the time we have you at 16, you'll be a fully self-hating human being that will do anything because you're shitting your pants and you have no confidence in it.
That's it. A few years ago, they had some roadworks, so they had cars veering round one side of Plymouth, and when I was coming back one day, I noticed these road signs, and they were roadwork signs, yeah. And I used to carry straight on, and all these people would be queuing up to go round the diversion. I used to carry straight on, and I used to do my missus' head, and she said, "Well, you're going to get in trouble." I said, "In trouble for what?" I said, "I'm a vessel on the Queen's Highway. They're not mandatory road signs. They're work crew signs. They're not right. They're roadwork signs. They're not the highway code signs. I'm just driving straight through." Of course, buses used to beat me and flash me off. Well, I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm free to travel on this road, all right? And then I was coming back one day, you see all these people queuing up to go to the diversion. I was just thinking, sheep, meh. I used to do that, meh.
Yeah, you fucked up, man.
And I used to just drive straight through. And this one time coming back, there were two police cars there, and this guy, he literally stuck his hand out in front of my windscreen and whacked the windscreen. And I put the windscreen down. I said, "What do you think you're doing?" He said, "You shouldn't be driving up here." I said, "Why?" I said, "Why? Didn't you see the signs back there?" I said, "Oh, what? Those the road work signs." And he said to me, "So you drive up here again, you're going to get a ticket." I said, "Listen, mate," I said to him, and at this moment, my missus in the car, she's trying to shut me up. I said, "Listen, mate," I said, "if I was doing anything wrong, you'd give me a ticket now." He went, get out of here, get out of here. And I said, "Yeah, okay, cheery bye then. Thank you, officer. Goodbye."
I hate that because, I hate that because, no offence to your wife, but not even wives' friends as well. My brother is, they'll get you in trouble, Chris.
Yeah.
But you've explained to them. See, the thing is, we've explained this. Well, this is how it works. Don't say nothing.
Yeah.
Sure. Oh, Alan, leave it, Alan, leave it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, are you joining the police? You're making your mask.
They're on their side.
Yeah, it's like when you ever had a fight, your mate grabs you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, I'm like, what are you grabbing me for? And the guy's punching you, and your mate's like, you know what I mean? To stop. I was doing it to stop the fight. I said, well, if you could have grabbed anybody, why didn't you grab him?
Yeah.
What the hell are you grabbing me for? The guy's beating me. But anyway, Neil, what have you been up to? What have you been doing, mate?
Bit of work, unfortunately, but had a day off today, not much else really, to be honest. Catching up on a few videos and stuff, listening to what's going on.
Yeah, excellent.
What any particular videos, Neil?
I just watched a couple this morning from this. I don't know, I've not seen the channel before, but it's not got a name. It's like a load of numbers. It says it's quite. I can't remember. It's hundreds of thousands or in the millions.
Oh, yeah, millions of views or whatever. Is that it?
Do you know what I'm on about? Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
So I mean, some of it. I only watched a couple, but some of them were. It was compiled from other people's videos I've already seen. Like,
Yeah, so it's just like mirrors and stuff.
yeah, but I don't know. There was like one about like flying. These sort of jet planes like 40 foot above sea level, like avoiding radar and stuff. So I was looking into that in detail and the kind of distance they cover and the speeds they're doing and stuff. And obviously they're not making alterations for any curvature, like, and you know, I think we're talking about over 200 mile distance covered from these training exercises.
Yeah.
And then showing some like in cockpit, like jet fighter stuff, and you know, showing like the forces, like the guys are fighting against, you know, due to the thrust and the maneuvers and the G's being pulled, and then highlighting like Soyuz taking off to go to the space station with Christ knows how many times more thrust, and the astronauts are sitting there pretty relaxed and like moving around, and you know, one grabs something, you know what I mean, and you just think, well, hang on a minute, see this guy like moving at like a fraction of the speed they're supposed to be moving at, with a fraction of the thrust by all accounts, and he's experiencing like his face getting pulled back and stuff as he's coming out of the roll, and they're like sat there like relaxed in like deck chairs, like, you know, nothing's going on, you know what I mean? Well, yeah, no, they were quite interesting compilations the way he put them together anyway, and yeah, it seems to like bombarded the scene. He's got quite a few up at the moment, but like I said, I think there's another one, but Jamie obviously knows what I'm on about anyway. But yeah, just another common sense aspect to, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Common sense. It's not like, you know, it's
demonstrating like, you know, the observable reality, like. But like I say, breaks it all down, does the math, tells you what should be happening, or the, you know, what these pilots should be flying over and stuff. It's just not the case at all, like.
Yeah, I mean, when it's understandable. I mean, people are being dishonest. You know, when like you point that out there, if you said that to someone that is like believes in the heliocentric model, you say, well, look, this aeroplane is flying about 10 metres above the ground, right, travelling, you know, nearly 1.5 times speed of a normal aeroplane, or twice the speed of a normal aeroplane. They'd be pushing down all the time. Think of their curvature equation would be a lot more rapid than the curvature equation.
But it's gravity, though.
I mean, yeah, exactly. Oh, well, exactly, Jamie. Or it's perspective. It's optic perspective.
It's refraction.
Yeah, it's relative. It's all relative.
Light's refracting it around the curve.
Yeah, it's all relative. If I was watching from Mars, it would be actually upside down and only be doing 2 miles an hour.
Hey, Ali, you're going to like this one, Ali. And Neil, talking about flying, right? Commercial jets, right? And they have something called an air data inertial reference unit, all right? And what they do is when the aircraft is stationary at a gate, directly in front of the cockpit, they've got a location number for latitude and longitude, all right? So when the plane is stationary, they're supposed to enter the latitude and longitude into this navigational unit, and it calibrates itself. It says, yeah, I'm here. And when they calibrate it can take a few seconds. They're not supposed to load the plane or have the plane loading or have anybody coming onto it, so it can actually reference its position. And position is right on the wall opposite the cockpit. So when they take off, whatever longitude and latitude position they put into the navigation unit, the aircraft computers work out its position and takes into account the Earth's spin and the Coriolis effect. All right, this is what it's all about. So they have 3 of these units on board, and they control different functions. You know, I was saying to you about the altitude indicators. Yep, it's all electronic, and they have laser unit gyroscopes. All right, laser gyroscope units. Yeah. Okay, you know that, right?
Accelerometers as well.
Yeah. So you've got 3 of these ADUs controlling things, all right? Yeah. So when they're in autopilot, it just does it all automatically. But if they have to go back to manual, they go flying and whatever, and they're still on course, they see the heading. They don't really need to know the magnetic north or the true north because they're on their heading and they're not deviating from it. Well, there's a unit inside these ADUs, and these are actually manufactured by Honeywell, the units.
Oh, yeah, I know that.
Right, they're made by Honeywell. Now, inside these units, there's another unit which is called the ACM. Now, the ACM is the automatic calibration module, which calibrates the unit when it's stationary, yeah? And if they have a problem with the calibration and they can't get it to calibrate because it's moving or there's high winds, or they still can't get it to reset or calibrate, they call out a maintenance tech. He'll come out, change the ADIRO, bang, yeah, all right, away you go. And there was one instance where there was an airline pilot who was going to have a flight of 6 hours in a 777, phoned through and said, I can't get the ADIRO working, bang, bang. Out came the technician, couldn't sort it, didn't have a spare ACM, so he said, oh, we're you're gonna have to fly without it. He got all his bits and pieces set up. He said, yeah, okay, we'll just phone to the tower and the GPS because we're not flying that far away from the sea. And in that 6-hour flight, the co-pilot had to check their position, and in that 6 hours, they never once deviated from their flight path because of the Earth spin or the Coriolis effect.
Now, maybe it was having the day off. Maybe the Coriolis effect Ben was having the day off that day.
Right.
Well, that's probably what it was, man. That's probably what. Sometimes the Earth, sometimes the Earth stops spinning on certain days.
But
just don't tell us about it.
Okay, the interesting thing, right? The ACM within the Idiru, right? This little black box of tricks isn't serviceable by Honeywell. They're not allowed to do it. Do you know who it goes back to?
Oh, is it NASA?
Yeah, NASA.
I've read that. Yeah, that's right. That's
fucking
I
hell.
knew that. Yeah. I've read something about that. Oh, nice one. That's reminded me now. Yeah.
So when the pilots get asked about the Coriolis and the spinning of the world, they say, well, it's Earth and everything. We don't need to worry about that because it's all done for us. So they don't have to worry about the spinning or if there's a Coriolis effect. They just rely on their nav system to get them from one place to another because it's all done for them.
Well, them new systems, the new navigation systems, the inertial navigation system, or the attitude indicators, the new one that they're fitting into the proper airplanes, you actually have to take them out of the...
You're still there, Ali? Looks like he's been taken out. Ali, you've gone silent, mate, if you can hear me. Okay, so that was that. So, yeah, it's all done. These units are all done by... And these have been in these aircraft for the last 20 years, so...
So, in essence, just more proof that it's bullshit, like.
Yeah, that's right, mate. Yeah. I wonder if he's knocked his thing off. Well, he hasn't. He's still here. He hasn't lost his connection, has he?
No, he's still got microphone issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's plenty of stuff around the flying aviation scene, isn't there, really?
Yeah.
That just rams it home, like, completely. Well, for me, it does, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's still all good and everything. I mean, they, all the systems they have on board, to get you from A to B is all sophisticated. But, I mean, until something goes wrong, I was reading about the Air France disaster that went off into the sea. And they'd had airspeed indicator problems and stall and pitch errors, all to do with the freezing pitos on it. And is that Ali coming back in, or was that?
It dropped out, wasn't it? I don't know. Must have connection or something, I don't know.
Oh, he might come back.
Who knows? But yeah, carry on.
Yeah, I mean, it's all pretty sophisticated and it's all automated. I mean, it should be safe as houses, really, but then you get something that goes wrong and they're not trained for it. And it's been proven that when pilots are in a crisis situation and they don't know where they are, or they don't feel as if they have control of the aeroplane, when they get issued audio commands, they ignore them, and it's a known thing. So when they're being told, pull up, they'll register that once and they're looking at something else and they'll forget what's happening, and they trace that with the Air France one. And the captain was out the back having a kip, and he came in about 2 minutes after the first fault was indicated, and by then it was too late. I mean, they just went straight into the sea at an angle like this as they were falling. It must have been terrible.
They're thinking about, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, I used to watch that air crash investigation. I used to love that sort of stuff. I mean, not for the not for the fact that people, pass away or whatever. I mean, that's awful, obviously. But I used to like the way they investigated everything and came back, with the root cause sort of thing, and they piece it all together and get the actual, voice recordings and a certain amount of data that's recorded. But in the early days of flight, they used to run telemetry for these aircraft, especially with the BEA flights. So as the plane was flying away back at the base, they'd have received real-time data as to what was happening with the aircraft, and they could monitor it. I mean, obviously with modern systems, more reliable systems, they didn't need to run telemetry. It would be nigh and impossible now with all the planes in the sky. That's why they still record, in case of any event, they have the data to hand as to what was the last thing that was said or punched in, or what the status of instruments were, And they can actually, to a certain extent, replay the actual flight path. So yeah.
Yes, other stuff involved.
Yeah, which begs the question: they still haven't found MH17, have they? The Malaysian one.
Oh yeah,
still haven't found
that went missing, didn't it? Weirdly.
Yeah.
Who knows? It could have it could have ended up in some other pond somewhere.
Yeah, or could have been taken somewhere and landed. Who knows?
Could have been abducted by aliens.
I did ponder that, but I dismissed it about.
You did ponder that.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
What's the black? thing then, Jamie?
Oh, Blackpool is a meetup supposed to be happening on the 8th of July, apparently.
All right. But any particular
I have to
location?
find out a bit more about, like, I mean, probably be going, but, you know, they obviously need to find out where they're going to be meeting up and what time and everything. I don't know if all that's been decided on yet, but I know they said that, I think it was Chris Trueseeker was saying it's going to be on the 8th of July, because, yeah, it'd be actually good to get to do a meetup.
What sorts of numbers are expected then?
Pardon?
What sorts of numbers are expected then?
Don't know. I think I'm not sure who's supposed to be going, but I know. I think I know. I don't know. I think Chris Trueseeker is supposed to be doing it, but as far as I'm aware, not sure about anyone else. I don't know.
No, so
I don't know
it's not a venue or nothing as such. Like,
who knows. I mean, I don't think that it's just probably just going to be like some gathering. So I don't know if someone can let me know who's supposed to be going.
Isn't Martin doing one as well in Leamington Spa?
No, well, that being Nathan or something, because he lives near Leamington Spa apparently.
Yeah, that'll be all right. Well, I mean, that's probably a bit more doable for me than Blackpool. I don't know.
Yeah, that's near the Midlands, isn't it?
Yeah, smack bang in the middle, isn't it?
Yeah.
no,
Well, that might be like a central place for everyone, really.
There's no one like done a video initially advertising it like them, or
Not that I'm aware of. Well, Gav says he's supposed to be going with Fiona, so Brandon Cook's saying that try and live stream it, Jamie. Well, probably won't be able to do it because I use my laptop to do that sort of stuff, so obviously it would require an internet connection, so no, I don't think I'd be able to do it because I don't have any other way of streaming it unless somebody else wanted to do it. Unless, like I could, I mean, it'd be cool if someone wanted to do it live, but
yeah, it wouldn't exactly
who knows?
be good from a bed and breakfast room, would it? Blackpool.
Well, we should film some boats going over the curve of the earth.
They could always do it from a boat, I suppose. Yeah.
I was just saying that it's about time there's a Glover meetup, like a sort of, like Earth discussion meetup or whatever, or P-Mars, Tim Osman and Jem Panda and all them crew as well. They should, actually that'd be a bit hard because they're all from different countries.
I reckon if they did have a meetup, they'd be outnumbered by flat earthers, so there you go.
Yeah, anti-flat Earth gathering. But the thing is, it's like there's always global meetups, isn't there? About 100 people that all believe in the globe, but obviously these are groups that are invested in the flat Earth but still believe in the globe. That's the thing.
Oh, okay.
Some consider them as flat earthers just because they're so involved in it that they're you might as well call them a flat earther because they're in the flat Earth community, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
No, we ain't no flat earthers. We believe that the spherical model is the only working model of the universe, the heliocentric. And actually, Tim Osman says it could be geocentric. They actually said that. He said both models work. That's what he said. But then at the same time, he says about the apparent size of the sun doesn't seem to change. Well, if that was the case, then the geocentric model wouldn't work. So he'd have to admit that only the heliocentric model could work because that would mean that if the sun's a lot closer, then it would, you'd think it would appear to change size. But then again, we don't know what the sun is. I mean, we have some ideas, but nothing really concrete as of yet. The moon could be made of concrete, though.
Yeah, it's probably made by the guys who laid my drive because they made a lighthouse of it. Lots of holes everywhere.
Someone was saying the other day, a point that when they build these lighthouses, it's like a good proof that the Earth's flat because when they built them, they never took the curvature of the Earth into account because they never thought would these be visible, sort of thing. Like over certain distances if the Earth's a globe. Otherwise, it'd be a bit pointless, wouldn't it? So you'd have to build them up higher so that it will be visible over the curve.
I think the whole idea of lighthouses is to warn you as you get nearer that there's rocks there. But they used to.
But you wouldn't be able to see. You wouldn't be able to see them if unless they were like really huge.
Yeah, I guess by the time you actually saw it, you had enough time to steer away.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I mean, I just think
that is true. I mean, even with a curve, you'd probably see them for a good 10 or 20 miles away, so you don't have enough time. But they do prove a flat Earth because a lot of them you can see close to the bottom of them where they should be, obviously obscured a lot more.
Yeah, unless you're doing 17,000 miles an hour. Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought they used to paint the lighthouses like with the stripes going down, with the bands, so that ships further away they could count how many bands they could see on the lighthouse, which would give them a perspective of how far away they were,
What, because of the curvature of the Earth?
Oh, well, distance, I'd say. I mean, yeah, I used to believe that. Yeah, I just think, that makes sense, And yet the Eddystone is just one colour. Doesn't matter, does it?
Yeah. It's just like there's so many, ridiculousness to like point out, isn't there, with the model? But it's like they'll claim that we need a model, but they can't even have a working model themselves. It's a bit kind of, when you think about it, it's confirmation bias, isn't it? And it's shifting the goalposts, what have you. So yeah. You're going on about all this stuff, and it's just like I was saying before. If the flat Earth was ridiculous and it weren't true, then why are anyone even talking about it? It would have been debunked long since. But you don't accept what we say is proof. Well, all they have is photographs, supposed photographs, shall I say, Coriolis effect, star trails, swirling in opposite directions, two celestial poles. I mean, does anyone even know if that exists? It's like these are so redundant arguments. It's like I can't even believe they even use them anymore. Why can't you literally keep them grounded? Keep them from straying away from the curvature argument, because they know that they can't prove it.
I had a comment to a comment I put on a video, and I just said, remember, gravity's a theory. Prove gravity first before stating anything else. And this guy said, a Cavendish experiment shows gravity in work, and you can measure gravity with a so-called gravimeter. And this year's scientists detected gravitational waves. So yeah, go read some books yourself before commenting. So I said, the books by scientists, you mean? Yeah, right. Please supply me a link to a gravimeter. Do flukes do them? I just got a big, and it said, quick search doesn't show any fluke branded gravimeters, but there are several other companies selling them, such as AOSense, Inc., Mukans, Lacoste, and Romberg, all very expensive. Yeah, right. That's probably because they're made by NASA. They come back with just complete hogwash, and it's like, it's ridiculous. Gravimeter. I'd like to see that.
Like observable, testable, measurable. So what's the meter like in ADOF?
But what about the science, for the globe Earth, but they can't even, understand what science is.
Yeah. One guy said, prove gravity. 1, stand up. 2, grab your computer, your laptop, extend your arms to 90% from your body, release the computer equals gravity. I mean, that's as bad as the microphone, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like someone was saying, Neil deGrasse Tyson's science laboratory, and he drops her microphone. And that proves gravity somehow.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant.
But it didn't disprove the flat Earth, though. That's the thing.
No.
All he did is he went, drop the mic, and that proves gravity. What does that have to do it with relation to the shape of the Earth?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Oh, that's right.
And the thing is that what a lot of their claims have nothing in relation to the shape of the Earth.
Well, that's it. I'm dropping the microphone. Okay, we'll go home now.
So that somehow gives you observable, testable proof of the curvature of the Earth.
Yeah.
Well, I think he's just basically saying he's got nothing else to say because that proves it all. So
yeah, it does really. It's like he could have just, he said, look, his excuse is, well, the Earth's so big and you're so small, and because small.
Well, I think just in his
sections of a large sphere will always appear flat.
No, I think just in his own arrogance of the way he delivered it is like saying, well, there's gravity explained, so the whole model only works on the basis of gravity being included in. So he's like pretty much saying he's got no case to answer in it.
Yeah, it's kind of just like,
you know what I mean?
It's just, it's truth in plain sight, really. You can see it from a mile off once you realise it. But for them that are still asleep, they think that gravity answers everything, but when you actually look at it, even gravity itself hasn't been proven, so...
Well, no, exactly, but I'm saying if there's no gravity on the sphere model, then it won't work, will it? So that's gravity that got through in at the end to tie it all together. So by them reinforcing gravity, in their eyes, there's nothing else needs explaining, because that's a given, and everything else that they told us about it.
Well, the thing is, it's like, well, if that's his argument for the curvature, is, the obviously they're so big and you're so small, so then you've no case. Then it's like, they should be. And then Bill Nye says something like, you can actually see ships disappear hull first over the horizon. Well, if you obviously, we know there's wave obstruction and things like that. So how can you prove that that's the curvature of the Earth and not obviously waves in the foreground obstructing it?
Yeah, there's been so many of those done now. I've done one myself, and I don't need to go down that route now, really, and explain it. I've got something there now which people can see for themselves, and it's quite self-explanatory. It's just one of those things again, isn't it? We just need to stick to the basics, like water finds its own shape.
Well, it's gravity, though. It's only like level locally, but because the Earth's so big, gravitational pull pulling it all towards the center of the Earth. That's why it kind of drains down the mountains and things, and any kind of contour it and gets to its lowest point. That's not because the Earth's flat. Is the water? It's not because of water. It's because the gravitational pull. I'm basically just putting myself in the mind of a globe believer. Because in a way you might think it makes kind of sense when but when you actually really think about it, how can you be having Bolivian salt flats, not curves again, it's just
a block of rounds.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, block of flats.
A block of curves. Actually, you can't. Right, yeah, be a block. Actually, would it be a block? I don't know.
Yeah. Oh dear.
And what else is there? Yeah, like I said, flood curves.
Yeah.
And the countless plains of Africa, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The curves of Africa.
Curved bottom boats.
The curves of the Serengeti.
Yeah, well, there's a state in America called Georgia. So would it be right calling it the curves of Georgia? Yeah.
Yeah, I think as Chris said, it's just stick to the simple stuff. Isn't it?
Yeah, I think really, it's good going off and find all this other stuff with the technical side, but I think...
I think some people need that stuff, though. It's like, because it's like they don't get it. It's like, gravity, and all that. And it's like, that'll be the... So for them people, it's like, they need something else to kind of, prove to them, because it's like, if they can't get past that, then you have to show them, really good examples of no curve over long distances, and there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
Hundreds of miles away, like that one, the Rocket Mountains, and it was like, did they say it was 160 miles at the furthest point or something? But obviously between 2 points it was about 60 miles or something, whatever it were, and so it weren't that like far in between, but it should have been
way below.
It was, obviously the scale of it, you're dealing with small angles, so it's hard, but still though, it's like when you're talking about small angles over a large distance, it becomes quite great, though.
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah. It was certainly comprehensive, that video, wasn't it? It'd be hard to debunk that one.
Yeah.
You had to stick with it, though, didn't you?
Yeah, that's it, but it was a good video, kind of going in depth, and it's like anyone who denies that, well,
talking about a video from...
We don't need them,
No. Talking about a video by Ex-Heliocentric, Neil.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty good, if you check him out. It's a good watch. But you can watch it because you understand what he's saying. If you just took somebody from the street who wasn't aware of anything and gave them that video, it would probably bore them to death,
Yeah, because they don't understand the technical side of it. So I suppose you're right in that...
What's it about then, basically?
Well, there was a photograph he found.
Hang on, there's someone live now, Steve McRae. Something about Rand Campbell retires, but is still a POE. Flat Earthers are falling apart. They're saying Rand Cam has supposedly decided to retire from YouTube and is stepping down from his channel Flat Out Elected. Now we all know POE, that has been conning people for, and then I kind of finish it. Don't know what else it says. I have to I mean, it's just obviously, you know, that if it weren't true, this flat Earth stuff, you'd have people dropping off like water off a duck's back, onto the curved water below it. Yeah.
Is that some news you've just read out or something? Is it?
No, it's Steve McRae is one of those globe believers.
Oh, right.
And yeah, it's going on about this flat out elected guy,
I see.
supposedly retiring or something. It's like, why would it have gotten to a point where there's like probably millions of us at this point? I don't know exactly how many there are, but it wouldn't have even gotten anywhere. It wouldn't have even got into the thousands, I don't reckon.
What's he retiring from, like?
I'm supposedly retiring from YouTube. This flat out elected guy, I don't know if you've...
Why is that the official term used? If you stop using it, all of a sudden you retire.
I don't know what he's on about. Is it retire from YouTube and is stepping down from his channel flat out elected? What is a POE?
POE? Oh, I'm still caught up in retiring and stepping down.
Pretty obvious excuse.
Well, you could coin that one, Chris.
Sorry?
You could coin that one yourself if it isn't a take.
I don't know. I mean, who knows what's going on? It's some sort of politics going on between different factions and people calling people out, and
I just fucking you know.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? You know, I just like to stick to the facts and have a good chat about it, and
Well, the fact is that the spherical model is the only working model of the universe. I mean, the geocentric and the heliocentric model are both working, but flat Earth isn't working. It's you can't explain the two celestial poles and the southern star rotations, the angular size of the sun not changing, blah blah blah.
So, Chris, have you not had a mass of other people like calling you out, like, as these other identities allegedly being in the past?
Yeah, no one else today. No, just the usual. Well, it's been for a while now, but Jamie, you said that matey had his thing the other night. He was probably talking about me. You said that, didn't you? I said, I don't know. I'm not going to bother.
Who are you talking about?
I'm surprised you're still here, Chris. I thought you might have been outed by now. All these other.
Oh yeah. See, I'm a good actor, you see. Or what do they call them? Agents. That was it. It's an agent. Yeah. So we're nearing end times now because I've shown my face.
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah. Chris F.E. Jackson is the Antichrist. Beware of him. He is here to
misguide you.
Be the false Messiah.
I'm the center of all evil.
And look, his name is Christ. Like, almost. That's what I think. Is that what Pete A was saying? That your name's almost Christ.
Well, my full name's Christopher. So yeah. Hey, it could be Christ of her. So I'm.
That's what I was thinking. Christ of her.
So I'm a transgender evil person.
I see. Was it? I'm just trying to think what chat it was. Somebody wrote, you've got Pete Shea. So they put Pete and then took the A off the end of Shea and put it before, so it was like Pete. That was quite after all his obviously transgender allegations.
Yeah.
If the cap fits word.
I mean, it's funny. I was looking for things the other day, and I was going through bits and pieces. It's amazing what distracts you, and you end up watching something. You think, what the hell am I doing watching this for? I was watching something. It was someone on about Brian Cox, and then it just went off, and they were explaining how this guy was really a woman, and I had to go, what the hell am I watching this for? It's not what I was looking for. So I realised I was watching it for 10 minutes, thinking, what the hell am I doing?
So, Brian Cox was a woman or somebody else?
Who, Brian?
Brian was a woman or somebody else, you know what about?
Brian Cox.
He's got a womanly smile, hasn't he?
Of course, I wouldn't like to meet a woman who's got a smile like that.
It's like a witch's smile, I mean. You should put a hat on or something. In fact, you could do that, go in paint or something and put like a witch's hat on him or something.
Yeah. I just look at when I see him now, it just annoys the shit out of me,
Well, it's just like pompousness, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, I have had years and years of education.
And I used to be in a rock band. And he goes on all these shows, doesn't he? And he's there talking about this, talking about that. And one guy asked him if he believed in teleportation. He said, we've already done it. Well, one particle in it, we think. What's that? Is that science? We think.
Right, there's someone in chat, Barn Door, saying, seems Newton's laws of motion don't agree with the premise that the Earth is flat. How do you reconcile the differences? Is he actually proven his law?
Which law? First, second,
Well,
third?
there's actually, and then there's other people that change things up, like Einstein and what have you. That it's all kind of, because when that Newton, it was mass attracting mass or something, and then it got changed up or something because I suppose people kind of figured out it was wrong, so they had to kind of
make some bylaws.
because obviously with the the Michelson-Morley experiments and stuff, I need to look a bit more into that stuff or whatever it is.
Yeah. Aries failure. But as Ali said a few weeks ago, he said what people don't realise is that Newton had a whole theory for light, and they binned a lot of it. They trashed everything with it. They don't tell you that in the history, do they? Because it would take away any credibility he had for his laws of motion. So they say, well, we'll keep that because that fits quite nicely, thanks. But no, I'm not interested in any of that. That's a load of hogwash. We'll work on that with someone else. Yeah.
Do you think some of these people actually kind of believed in it, or do you think that they actually knew that they were just pushing rubbish?
Well, no. Newton's laws of motion sort of make sense. If you put yourself on a skateboard, yeah, and you had a 20 kilogram weight on you, right, and you were stationary, and you threw off that weight, you threw it away, yeah, the force that you're using to push that weight away, so it'll leave you, will actually create an opposite reaction to that. It's just that you're on the skateboard with your weight and the friction of the wheels against the ground, but you will still push back from it, yeah. So that meets laws. The third law: every action is an equal and opposite reaction. So you pushing that away creates that force. The force that you require to push that weight away makes you go back the other way. So that makes sense. I can understand that because you can physically see that happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
We can test that, can't we? We can experience that ourselves.
It's like the recoil action in a rifle or a gun. You fire that, it blows. The gunpowder ignites, forces the bullet out, but pushes it creates the recoil action. So it's just that the bullet is being blown out from a cartridge, and the surface area that the explosion has happened is a small surface area, but everything that's happened inside that cartridge is forced upon that edge of the bullet or the back end of the bullet, which makes it fire out. Yeah, it's just simple, I know, but you've still got the recoil action, which is an opposite opposing force. So,
we discovered that we need extra gravity.
Extra
dark matter.
Yeah.
I mean, how can you take these people seriously? I mean, how can anyone take these people seriously? It's just beyond me. It's like...
Oh, and they keep coming up with this. That was another one as well. Keep mentioning Cavendish. Oh, it just annoys the hell out of me. If I went around telling people I was going to measure the mass of the planet, the stars, the sun, and the moon by hanging two lead balls in me barn, they'd put me away. They'd think I was mad. But oh no, they use that and they keep quoting it. Jeez. Yeah. Right. And it's not been repeated, has it?
Yeah.
I mean, as such.
Yeah, because apparently, what was it? Gravity waves or something, LIGO detector or whatever, and it just seems kind of fishy to say the least.
Yeah. Who's to say that when Cavendish was doing his experiment, a gravity wave came in from outer space? Moved it.
Yeah, again, if someone was to actually say that, if they weren't, say, a quote-unquote professor, then then they'd get locked up probably.
Yeah, but I'm a professor. I've been educated to all the known standards and the understanding. Yeah, right. Yeah, understand this. Bang. So yeah, I mean, go back to basics. I think when I talk to anybody initially and they ask me questions, I just stick to I go back to Dell's thing and just say, the water, conforming to a shape, horizon, that sort of thing.
Again, they'll keep saying gravity, so it's kind of a lost argument unless you've something else to kind of back it up.
Yeah.
Over distances. It's like when they say that the Earth's so big, then it has to be curving away exponentially. I suppose a good example of flat water would be the reflections of things on it wouldn't work if it were a globe, would it?
What do you mean?
Like, mirror on water, because it needs a flat surface, otherwise it'll distort it. Oh, the Earth's so big. Well, then they should be able to test that and show how it can still work if on a small scale or something. I don't know. have lots of stuff that they can't add to, a lot more than what.
Yeah.
So the problem is scale, of course. It's like if the Earth's so big, and then but it had to be because if it was a lot smaller, it's a shame it weren't 1,000 miles, and then because then people would know straight away because it's like you couldn't have but it's a shame it's like as they claim it to be almost 25,000 miles in circumference, so it's like where the other without experiments you can't see it with your naked eye, the difference. Unless you were like, I don't know how I don't even know if you would actually see a curve at any height, unless you were seeing the whole Earth at a glance. Because again, I've said it before, and Mick has said it as well a few times, about the horizon kind of always being the same altitude. But about that for a while, I'm not too sure anymore. I don't know. It's just that you'd think, well, if it's the same altitude all the way around, then flat.
Well, you'd have to go at least 8,000 miles up to see as maximum as you could. Right, if you're anywhere in that environment, you go up 8,000 miles, you'll see as much as you can. And then as you go further away, it'll just become smaller. So then what you'd have to do is you'd have to look at the land to see how the land shape in these ball models they give us. Like they're from the Himawari. That's supposed to be 1 million miles away thereabouts. But
a million? No, it can't be 1 million miles away, surely.
No, that's it. 900 and some odd million miles, 1,000, 900.
Are you sure it's not 666,000 miles away?
Well, no, roughly just under 1 million miles away.
Or 33,000 miles away.
Yeah. Hey, my missus was watching this program on the BBC after the news finished this morning, and it was something to do with hospital beds. I kid you not, I just poked my head in the rooms. I thought it was the news was on, and they had some woman in this hospital bed having something wrong with her finger or something, and their bed number was 33. I went, oh my god, I'll have to record this and show Russian vids. He'll love this one. Of all the beds they could have filmed, they picked 33. Ridiculous. I wouldn't have given that a second glance years ago or a few months ago.
I still remember when you said about 33 miles.
Oh, I know. I was innocent, really. It's my commute to work. Yeah.
But no, Chris.
What?
A coincidence is on flat Earth.
He kept saying, "What do you think about that? Paper? Hello." He's trying to get me to slip up the twat.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're paper explanator.
And what's the other one? Decepticon.
Cyopticon.
Who?
Cyopticon.
Cyopticon.
And Evil Edna wasn't it as well?
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, I've got to take my hat off to him. He truly believes it. He's probably to this day he still believes it, And I just think
it's been live for quite a bit tonight. On his own hangout. Well, it's good that he's started up his own chats because he's been saying about it for a while and he started doing them. So it's not like an empty promise where it's just like he's just like going around different chats to shield them, whatever, and not do his own chat because he wants to like infiltrate different chats. So it kind of, I don't know, unless he just realised he has to infiltrate his own chat or something. But I'm not accusing anyone, but I suppose he has to accept any accusation if.
Well, yeah, if you're going to throw it round, you've got to take it back, haven't you? So
yeah, exactly.
That's simple, Jamie, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. I mean, I can't help what I sound like. I mean, I am who I am. I'm not anybody. I'm not trying to be anybody I'm not. Or
Time will tell, Chris. Time will tell.
You know what I mean.
Truth will always out.
Of course it will.
Someone else has gone live right now. I'm just going to probably what I'm going to do. I'm going to put the link out in the chat, and if anyone wants to go ahead and out and whatever, and then just so about kind of give it. I mean, sending support out and stuff, and because then we can all kind of be a stronger unit then.
Yes. All right, Jamie. I'm gonna wrap it in, mate, and thanks to you again, and. Cheers, Neil.
Yeah, nice one, Chris.
Take it easy, buddy, and I'll speak to you all soon. All right.
Yeah, good night.
Good night.
Yeah, you're gonna hang around over on Pete. Hang out.
You're off now, Chris. Really? Yeah.
Damn. I was gonna dig out my Evil Edna.
I know you two go on there.
No. I wouldn't antagonise the guy. Heaven's sake, he's in enough turmoil as it is.
Yes, I'm in enough turmoil as it is.
Good night, gents.
Good night, mate.
After all the attacks from Paper Explanator and Sciaticon and Evil Edna.
Oh, God. I know we're laughing about it, but it was just wasn't it, on the night?
Yeah, you just got, otherwise it's going to get too serious, isn't it?
I just didn't agree with it being all done publicly, mate. I mean, you know what?
Yeah, I think it could have been done in private, perhaps, but, maybe he just wants to cause a scene or something, who knows?
Well, exactly. I mean, that's always been my belief. But, I've got nothing against the guy, and it's nothing I haven't said directly. And, wish him well on his own hangouts. Like, I think.
Have you seen this? Somebody called N. Clark. There's always, most of the time on my videos is, posts a comment, and and it's been going on, other channels as well, and he's on this authentic intent guy right now as well, and they're saying, so you're preaching to others and lying to them. No, it's not about, it's like, asking people questions. That's not lying. It's like, what you think about this, whole earth, and then, if you to tell them it's flat, then that's preaching, but it's not. So it's like, I just don't get it.
Right.
Oh yeah, have you seen this, supposedly curved water fountain, lit poncho train?
No.
Well, apparently, Dr. Zach made the video about, saying that, debunked it because the power lines, they weren't straight, but apparently he used the wrong lines or something. The problem I have is, even if it is true, what it was showing, it's like, well, hang on a minute, if it's showing curve, this was apparently a distance of 18 miles, how come, there isn't curvature shown at much, much bigger distances?
And what's the proof of the curve, like, the actual...
It was the curving kind of towards the right, so it looked as though they were, like, going over a curve or whatever.
What power lines saying?
Yeah, like if you was to say you were to look at a train track on a bowl, if it were on it, it would appear to kind of curve inward, wouldn't they? And it's like that would appear to, and that would kind of curved to the right, sort of thing, instead of doing a straight line. But, if that was proof of the bowl, then it probably means it's not very big, then, does it?
Well, it seems a bit strange. No one's come up with something. Yeah,
there should be loads of these experiments done. It should be easy to do. A distance of 18 miles across the lake. There should be experiments. Train tracks, you should be able to see it on them as well. You should see it on bridges doing the same thing. So, and again, there's bigger distances that you should be having this, but clearly it's not the case. And of course, if the Earth were actually a ball, then it would probably, to distance flying over 30,000 feet than it would be at ground level, because because obviously a wider circumference.
I mean, don't forget, like, you can put a curve in it if you want it to be curved. I think there's one featured in that millions of views video or what.
Which one?
I'm not sure, I can't remember the name of the bridge now, but it's one of that millions of views guys videos, and showed the bridge that's out like something like tilted back 41 centimeters or something. But when it showed the picture, you could see the bridge had a curve in it, but it also highlights the fact that the water was horizontal below it. You know what I mean?
But the Earth's so big though.
No, but I'm not saying all bridges are curved by default. I suppose it depends what points of land they're crossing and how they design it. You know what I mean? Don't drive on every bridge and it's perfect flat, but it can be made to be curved, but it's not to do with going with the shape of the globe, the design of the bridge for sail things. There could be other reasons, like. But it's clearly visible, like I say, with the water underneath. I mean, it wasn't getting used as to debunk any flatness, like, but, and obviously the distance anyway of the bridge, this 41 centimetre thing that wouldn't fit the...
Well, if I could find out, obviously the height of the observer, then I'd find out how far the horizon should be, and then find out, how much of it should be obstructed, the last power lines, but you can't really see quite to the end because they just get so small, but you can see probably pretty far.
Who's put that video out then, Jamie? What?
I don't know. I think there's pictures of it and stuff, and there's a video. It might have been Dazza, the cameraman, or something like that. I'm not sure.
So obviously it wasn't Dr. Zach, did it?
But like you said, it was him that was trying to debunk it.
right.
But again, like you said, it should have been so demonstrated a long time ago, showing a sort of curvature.
Yeah, I mean, there must be plenty of examples then of that available around the world, like, if that be the case, like,
But if it's only a rare occurrence, then it proves that there's something else going on.
well, yeah, it could be a multitude of things, couldn't it? But again, it's a pretty lame comeback, in it, like, to have it's hard evidence, like, or hard.
Yeah, and like, oh, there's a preponderance of evidence for the globe. No, there's a preponderance of evidence for the flat, and really not much for the globe.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, once it drops on you and you look into it, for me personally, like, it's just like, yeah, for now, now I'm actually thinking about it, this, that, and the other, and all the stupid speeds and motions and this, that, and the other. So you just accept critically.
Yeah, they'll say like, the flat earthers don't believe in gravity. Well, we explain how that we're affected to the earth because of the gravity, but they believe that that they're not just going to fall off the edge or whatever. Well, no one's saying there's an edge, and that's earlier responding to somebody, and it was like, kept going on about the edge, and it's like, really? It's clearly, just straw man tactics.
It's just an assumption that there is an edge, like you say. No one's claiming it. No one's
a straw man, isn't it?
Well, yeah, basically. And, just like not everybody's going to see everything in the alleged globe world, I mean, there's already places, that we're not allowed to go anyway, so they're never going to be able to verify those things until they're not told or critically think about stuff. But, the edge is my least concern about it. I'm not even thinking like edge, like.
Yeah, I'll just be back in a second.
Yeah, no worries, mate.
I'm back.
Yeah, I thought Mick might have been around tonight.
Maybe he's just having a break or something.
Yeah, I thought Ali might have showed back up, because obviously it was
else.
Wasn't it? I don't think he intended to disappear. Like.
No.
Yeah, I'm probably going to wrap up myself, mate. Sure, I'm going to probably be up for work tomorrow, so I need to turn in nice and handy. Start. So yeah, you're going to be obviously finding out some of the details about the meet, then, yeah.
Possibly soon, I don't know whether I'm going to keep going on here much longer, or whether I'm just going to wrap it up early tonight. I don't know. There's not a lot of people around now, so I don't know if anyone else is after a link, but I don't need to go on all night really. So you can get off now. So
all right, mate. So
I'll probably be doing it again on Friday. So
yeah. Oh, catch you.
Yeah, I'll talk to you then.
Take it down anyway.
A lot of hangouts going on right now, so I don't know whether to just
Pete's
wrap up and just.
Your audience, hasn't he? Pete's got all your audience. That's what it is.
No, there's quite a few people that are live. IPS is live. Obviously, ODD does his 24-hour thing. You've been exposed. Antonio Subirats, Steve well, that's a globe thing, but Pete Shea, Bro Sanchez live, Will Fabian.
This sounds like a hangout program.
FPV Angel, that's a 24/7 thing. Dick Intent, and then that's pretty much it. So
sounds like a full itinerary bit of viewing for people, doesn't it? Jeez.
Yeah, but if you can get 10, 20 people, doing hangouts at once, that's going to be quite it's like when I first started doing them, you'd only maybe get one or two at once, or three at the most, and then it's been getting bigger and bigger.
Everyone's competing for prime time, aren't they? And the best slots to get capture the bigger views. Yeah, I think you say people just flit about, don't they, between different ones, I suppose. Well, I myself prefer to stick with one or two. But anyway, I'm sure there's a bit more happening on Friday anyway.
Yeah, there usually is, because it being at the weekend and stuff, sometimes you get.
Yeah, definitely.
So anyway.
Right, mate, take it easy anyway, speak to you soon.
Yeah, you take it easy as well.
Right, mate.
I think. Till next. So Friday I'll be doing another live. So till then, peace.